Hey guys, it's Christina. This is Vox and Guest. I am so fucking excited right now because look who I have. I have Bobby Kane, Baby Kane, in the fucking house right here. Baby Kane. Bobby Kane, say hello to your many fans, Bobby Kane.
Hello, willkommen, bienvenue, welcome.
Okay, there we go. You had best be wearing that costume from like the waist down, and we just don't know it now that you've done that. That's it.
Oh, are you kidding? I'm hiding everything down there with that. You know what? That has a different connotation.
Okay.
I'm going to leave that alone.
I was like, let's not even. We just started. Well, let's give it at least 3 or 4 minutes before we get into that. Okay, so everybody knows Bobby Kane, so I do not need to have him introduce himself because he needs no introduction. But
oh my goodness,
despite the fact that I love you, Bobby Kane, and I'm so happy that you're here, I cannot shirk my duty as a serious journalist, and I have to ask you the noted and much feared introductory question of horror.
Okay.
You know how it goes.
I'm ready.
Watch the show, you know. All right, are you ready? I want you
I'm
to
ready.
dig deep on this one. Be honest, okay?
Gotcha.
Describe your perfect taco.
Well, I met her way back. No, sorry. Perfect taco, straight out of Mexico. That hard taco is an American thing. Soft taco all the way.
Mm-hmm.
I love to have very, very thin sliced rare beef as my base, a little lime coating on the top there.
Ooh.
Yeah. Corn salsa, definitely corn salsa.
Mm-hmm.
And besides that, any queso is okay. So I'm ready to go.
So you're okay. So with any queso, but this is a pretty low maintenance taco that you're eating.
Oh yeah.
You are your thin sliced beef, some queso, some lime, and that's it. You're not no tomato. Oh, and corn.
Well, the corn salsa. Yeah.
Okay.
See, okay. I mean, I can go with a regular salsa. That's really cool. I dig it. But there's something about that lime with the corn salsa. You don't really need anything else. And that's just my taste. You know, everybody has their own taste, and I'm not going to poo-poo anybody's taco.
No. Well, and if you have, we don't need to know about it.
People let me speak for some reason.
There's a reason I asked this particular question of this particular guest, because I knew you would pick up the layup and just finish the shot. But yeah, okay. So Bobby, a fan of tacos, which we suspected.
Oh yes.
Likes his taco simple, tasty, tangy.
Oh yes.
Simple. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at you, Bobby. You did it. You answered the first question. It can only get easier from here. That's it. You are.
There you go.
As long as it tastes good, you'll eat it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
I like a taco that can hold a good conversation.
Indeed. Okay. Here we go. All right. Listen, guys, you are going to hear me fangirl for a couple of hours now because I basically attacked and adopted Bobby against his will a couple of months ago. You were in band together, and because the group has gotten so big, I didn't know that you were in band together. I didn't know anything about you. And I see this post come up with your head, and it says something like, so, what's going on with, like, how do I get people on Spotify? Because, I'm putting stuff out and I'm not getting, which is, the age-old question, right? Nobody knows how the fuck to get people listen on Spotify.
Right?
So I was like, I actually had a minute where I wasn't listening to something else. And I was like, so I clicked on your Spotify. And oh my God, I was like, what the fuck is this? It's so good. And I'm going from song to song to song to song. They're all really good. They're all completely different. And then I get to the EP, which we're going to get into. And I was like, okay, this man speaks my language. I understand a lot about this guy already. And I basically started screaming at everyone online that I knew that they had to listen to this guy. I did one of my Vox approved posts. I put it up there, and then I think, did I drag you into watching one of these, or I tried to? I couldn't get you on the phone.
Well, yeah. So you sent me the message to watch the video, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let me go check it out because I had just joined the Band Together group,
Okay.
and I was talking to a friend of mine about, look, I keep putting out this stuff. It's like, hey, I poured my heart into this thing, and crickets.
Mm-hmm.
But then I put some stupid meme up, and everybody comes out of the woodwork.
That's exactly
So
right.
I put that post on. It's like, how do you even find people?
Yeah.
And there you are.
Ta-da.
And my whole world just exploded. I couldn't keep up with anything because everybody's like, hey, I'm following you. Hey, talk to me about this. Hey, I'm like,
Poor
it took
Bobby.
me
You
like,
had so many notifications that day, and
oh my God. It took me
so
weeks to catch up.
I know. Well, you just replied to something like a couple days ago that was from that first post, which I think was like 2 or 3 months ago, and I was like,
Yeah.
good job, Bobby. Like, very well done. But I can only
Yeah.
imagine because this community is amazing. And
Mhm.
so if I say, hey guys, this one's especially catching my interest, people just went nuts. And then they heard what I heard. So I did not have to sell very much. I basically just like put the dish up to the window and everyone was like, so I know your notifications went just apeshit. But so that night we finished Boxed and Guest. We finished the premiere. I don't remember who it was. And I started stalking him on Messenger. I was like, are you there? Can I call you? And he was like, oh, okay. So we had this me and my ADHD explosive brain, which was all lit up because of Bobby's music, just for like 10 minutes where I'm like, I swear I'm not crazy, but I really love your music and maybe I can help you. And oh my God, how are you? And he was just like, who is this again? But it all worked out because now you're here.
I'm here.
You're here and you've become a member of the family.
I love it.
And you're in the chat with us, just bringing the heat and all kinds of entendre and we're good at that. So I want to tell people your story, which is I know and just your musical story, all of it. But you grew up not too far from me. BK, you're Brooklyn, right? Brooklyn, baby. Okay.
I was born in Brooklyn. I was raised a good chunk in Queens.
Okay.
So still not too far.
Nope, not too far. Yeah. And you started. You were basically born into music, right? So talk to me about this baby Bobby Kane, baby Kane, and how you became. You went. I don't know if you were ever a little kid. I don't know if you were ever that small. Did you just take a couple days for you to be born? Were you just
I mean, the beard got a little bit thicker after birth, just a little bit. But no, yeah. So my earliest memories were music. Yeah. Honestly, my mom would sing whenever she was doing anything around the house.
Okay.
And everything was gospel, so I started loving the rich tonalities of gospel music. Mm-hmm. Even though firstly now I'm not really a church guy. Things happen.
Things happen. Yeah.
Yeah. But my uncle would take me on trips to pretty much everywhere. But if they were car trips, the radio was always on. Mm-hmm. And little kids sitting in the back seat just kind of vegging out to music, watching scenery go by. Mm-hmm. It always got stuck in my head. In fact, one of the songs that I grew up with that I loved so much, I ended up covering, which is that Careless Whisper cover. I love that song ever since.
I love that song too. There's something about that. I mean, George Michael was a huge loss, and I always felt so bad for Andrew Ridgeley because it was like Wham and it's George Michael and then the other guy,
right?
But Careless Whispers was one of the first songs of yours that I heard because I was like, wait, it has to be a cover. I'm like, he's not calling an original that, and I was just like, oh. So I feel you. So you're growing up in music, you're immersed in it from the beginning. Now I have to ask, just because people sing in the house does not mean it's a good thing. Could Mama sing or
my mom?
Okay,
that voice.
Okay,
will bring tears to your eyes.
Aww.
Yeah, okay. Just absolutely. She's an amazing singer.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Did you ever get to sing with her?
It never really happened because I didn't really get to stay with my biological mom for very long.
Okay.
I went to live with my godparents when I was 5 because mom was having a hard time
Okay.
with
Life.
the
Yeah.
life, money, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which I wish I had known would have been a huge mistake, but it happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in an extremely abusive household, and like I said, I started there when I was 5.
Mm.
When I was 13, they did the whole full-on adoption thing, and I was like, "Yay, great! I got a family!" And as soon as that happened, it was just hell on earth, absolute hell on earth. And
Oh,
my
okay.
only outlet and my only solace was really music.
Mm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I had to myself.
Mm.
And my adopted father, he was really into music. He didn't play anything or sing or anything, but
Okay.
he had a huge music collection. Like I'm talking like reel to reel, old
Oh,
records,
wow.
vinyl,
Okay. So a
old
collector. Okay.
old slate. I'm talking about 78s. Most people who are watching this don't even know what
Right.
78s are. And me, I had my own collection of 78s because I kept asking my dad for stuff
Okay.
because I loved the sound so much, and I loved listening to it, and I love being able to just escape into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in 6th grade, like I was write poetry. I tried writing songs. It was horrendous. But
It usually starts that way for absolutely everybody, but yeah, I'm not too thrilled when I look back either. So at my stuff,
yeah,
so I got you. But okay, all right.
yeah.
So, but you
But
were writing poetry.
writing poetry. In sixth
Okay.
grade, I wrote a poem that I ended up putting to music, which is my song called Home.
Okay.
Um,
Wow,
and
that song
basically,
is from 6th grade. The
I wrote that.
lyrics.
Yeah, I wrote that in the 6th grade,
Holy
and I
shit.
kept it. I kept
Okay.
it from my my family because if my dad ever heard me saying, they don't give a damn, I used the word
Yeah.
damn, I'd get my ass beat.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
but yeah,
Okay. And then but I mean, you were plucking at guitars at 3, you were plinking on the piano, you were,
yeah,
always just seeking it out from very little, right? Okay. And
yeah,
now we know solace in music.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm sorry for all that. I mean, again, if you're paying attention to Bobby's music and not just the lyrics, but the music, you know that this is not a guy who's lived an uncomplicated life, right?
Mm,
And not that I
yeah.
would ever say, Bobby, that it was worth it, but the gift that you have and what you've done with everything that you've been through, and we're going to be talking about that a lot today. At least we got that out of it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, again,
yeah.
not silver lining anything for you, but I just, when somebody can take shit that's come at them and process them and then own it in some way that makes it into something else that they own, like I respect that so much because you could have gone a very other set of ways and you did not.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, there was a time in my life I was an absolute asshole, and I can tell you, I look back on it and I laugh now, but honestly, I did it because I did not like me, and when I
Yeah.
look back, I did not like that me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it took a bit for me to realize that that was who I was, and then I made a vow to one always be 100% honest with people, but just
Mm,
be polite about it and be nice about it.
right.
I became a semi-pacifist, which means I will never instigate a fight. I will never
Hmm.
start it.
But you
But
will end one.
if you come after my people,
Yeah.
like if you hit me, I'm 6'6", 300-pound behemoth. I can take it. You know, you get it out, you go away.
Yeah.
You come after my people, I'm taking
Yeah.
you down, and I'm taking you down hard, and I'm gonna hate it. I'm probably gonna shed a tear or 10 because I don't relish the idea,
No.
but I'm gonna drop you. So that's it.
Bobby,
Yeah.
anybody stupid enough to come at you or your people?
Oh, God.
I
You,
mean,
you
I kind of
would
feel
be
like you're at that
surprised.
point they're buying it. Well, yeah, I would. Actually, I am simultaneously always surprised and never surprised by people anymore. Like I just, it's the world is as it is. And so, but
Mhm.
I hear you and that's another thing that I respect hugely because a lot of people will be an asshole and then just stay an asshole. And not only do they not realize it, but they relish it. It's like,
Yeah,
so, I mean, everybody has a version of themselves that they don't necessarily feel particularly proud of. But do you stay in that version or do you evolve? And you've clearly
right.
evolved many, many, many times since then, I'm guessing. But I
Yeah.
mean, I have to say, guys, like unequivocally, the fact that this man does not have a record contract, has not had a record contract for years now, it chaps my beans. I'm going to say it. It chaps my beans. My beans don't get chapped all that often, but this is an absolute bean chapper for me because I listen to your music, and I listen to your music all the time. Like I don't just listen, like prepping for this interview was the easiest thing in the world for me because I was like, yeah, I already know all this stuff. I've been listening to it for months. I feel like I have been listening to you for decades. Like I feel like I will put on one of your songs and go, that one isn't a cover, right? Because it sounds like it should be. And you're going to have to fucking take it, Bobby. I'm going to be complimenting you a lot tonight, but you're going to have to just spread those cheeks and take it because it's happening. This is all happening. But man. I mean, I really, we're going to talk about all of your stuff. And guys, one of the best things about this is that Bobby has a lot of music out, like a lot of music out, a lot, 30 something songs that you can find just on Spotify alone. Right. So, but because what are they saying in the chat right now, Bobby? What are they saying? They're asking for the song.
They gotta have a song.
We gotta have a song. And guess what, people? Guess what? This song, at least in this moment while we're taping this, has not been heard by anyone but the three of us, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're like, well, yes, and also the mailman and the neighbor's dog and, several people at the drive-through. And
I mean, my wife has heard it.
Okay,
yeah,
fine,
so
fine. Okay, fine. Play it for my wife. Listen, and guys, I mean, get some Kleenex because you're going to need it for this video, guys. Here, why don't you tell everybody the title of the song? It's not sad Kleenex, it's happy Kleenex. Oh, yeah. Tell everybody the title of the song and tell everybody a little bit about it before we roll it.
Well, before I tell you the title, I'll tell you about it first.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make it quick.
Do whatever you want to do, Bobby. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, I had a dream about this song. I wanted to write this song. Had no idea where to go. And I had a dream. I'm seeing a person in front of me, young woman, can't really see her face, but I still recognize her, even though the face is changing in the way that only dreams can do that for you.
Yeah.
And I told her about the idea, and she goes, "Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I get the concept, but is it about somebody? Did somebody do something wrong? Did I do something wrong?" And I'm like, "No, I'm basically just anthropomorphizing a concept.
Okay.
And putting it out there in such a way as it feels right to me." And she goes, oh, okay. But is it about me? Did I do something? And it just kept going. But while it's going, I'm hearing the music in my brain.
Oh, wow.
I got up. I started writing. I came down. I threw down a bass line. I went back upstairs. I conked out. Woke up in the morning, listened to the bass line, wrote the song. And the song is called Lust.
Lust.
Yeah.
Lust. Guys, you're about to experience Bobby Kane's lust. Here we go.
She wore a little red dress, the one I like. When she sways those hips, it's out of sight. She said, "You wanna make a mess?" Yeah. All right. The way she burns that lip, she gon' get it tonight. Girl, it's deadly. She's a deadly sin. Yeah. Girl is dangerous. Yes, she's deadly. When she would come for me, should have said no, but she would take my hand and off we'd go, going crazy out my mind. And like a fool, I fell for you every time. Girl is deadly, a deadly sin. She's dangerous. Woo. Yes, she's deadly. Alright.
sexy. You know it.
Oh no.
You know it. Yes, you do. You know it.
I'm-
Look at you with your little horns and your flames and your suit and all the goodness. Look at you.
I'm
I
a big
know
old
she's
dork.
sexy too. They're all sick. The women are all sexy too. I get it. But Bobby Kane. Bobby Kane, you dreamed a song. You dreamed a song. And then you came and you woke up just enough to put down the bass line and then you went back to bed. I love that. Like you are a musical chameleon. You really are, because it is so much fun to go through your discography, because there is something for literally everybody, right? You don't have a full on hard, core metal song, but you do have metal elements in your music.
Oh yes.
But I'm hearing all, I mean, it's secular music, definitely.
Yeah.
But you get your gospel on a lot throughout here in more overt ways, in more subtle ways, with your backing vocals, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I hear blues, I hear jazz, I hear soul, I hear rock, I hear pop, I hear a little bit of country here and there. I hear all kinds of things. And you said that your music is generally called alt soul. Is that you who said that, or is that other people, or both?
That was from a guy who I met when I was still living in New York. I was hosting open mics out in Greenwich Village. And at one point, before I started, doing all that seriously, one of my former bands, we got up and we played a show, and the guy just came to me and said, "Dude, I've never heard anything like that. That is insane. It's like, it's got like the alternative, but it's got like that R&B flavor. It's kind of like, it's like alternative soul." And I'm like, "I'm stealing that. It's mine. You can't use it." Okay, yeah, you can use it, but no, I want that.
Only to talk about me. Only to talk about me. Yeah. No, it is. It's a great description, because like, if you asked me to define a genre for you, I could not do it. I really could not do it. It is, you are your own genre, which, I'm not even going to call you genre promiscuous, because it's not even necessarily that you're just hopping among them. You're doing your own thing. No, but it's so fucking good though, man. And like, I put that and the musicality and the just the diversity. Bobby, I love you so much. Jesus Christ. I really, no, look, I love you as a person, but I just, your music is so, like, I'm literally, I don't know if you can see me. Everybody knows by now, my nose gets red when I get to it. I'm literally, no, because you have such a gift. You truly do. Music is just in your DNA. It's in your bones. And more than that, the fact that so much of your music is so brutally and beautifully honest about mental health and struggles with neurodivergence and just abuse and trauma and heartache and feeling alone and feeling uncomfortable in your own skin and all of that, it just makes it that much better. And I really, you know how I am about mental health and talking about mental health on the show, and you know how super neurospicy I am, and my whole family is, so I'm down with that, right? So you and I have had, and in retrospect, when I calm down and I think back on it, our first phone call was like about the most ADHD thing ever.
Right?
Because it's like those things where like people are throwing knives at each other's. Yeah.
Yes. It was like way back and forth. I'm sitting there going like, okay, calm down. The hamaste, which is my way of saying the ADHD in me sees the ADHD in you. But I'm sitting there and you're coming at me and I'm like, wow, this is my people. And I'm like, I can come back at you. And when I got off the phone, my wife was sitting next to me and she could hear like absolutely everything because the volume was like, up. And
plus I'm super fucking loud. But
she looked at me. She's like, my God, who was that? And I'm like, my new best friend.
You're a goblin that lives in my brain. That's the white girl version of it.
So is this one? Oh no, wait.
No, but I really and I just I can't say enough good things. I can't, and I want to get specific, and we will. But let's get a little bit more down to the nitty gritty too. So you were in music. You made it through hell. You walked through, ran through, crawled through, whatever you had to do. At what point, past poetry and everything, did you start getting into actual songwriting, writing down music, playing it out, performing it? Like, what was the process there? Because you are, which is so funny to me, given how immensely talented you are so humble and almost like reserved about your music. So I got to think that that's probably worse when you first get started, right? And you don't have, so how did you decide to just fucking go for it?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Honestly, when I got to high school, my dad really wanted me to play football because, big dude and, surprisingly fast for my size, and I was always, always the biggest kid in the class, towering over everybody.
So God, otherwise, where did you go to school and what kind of Wheaties were they eating? If you're, yeah, no, Bobby is it's the wall of Kane. So, all right, so he wanted you to play football, and I'm imagining you had absolutely no interest in that, or?
I mean, I like football. I don't have to see every game. I like it, and it's cool. I get into it when when it's on. Fine, but he wanted me to play, so I went out to play, and I hurt somebody pretty bad.
Oh shit!
And I said, no, I will not do that again. No. Mm-hmm. So they sent me back out there to do what I didn't want to do. So I made sure I didn't make the cut. And I just told them, I just, I guess I just wasn't fast enough or I wasn't good enough and I didn't make it. And I bullied them into letting me try for a band at school.
Okay.
I still have never taken a guitar lesson and I wish I had. I still have never taken a piano lesson and I wish I had. But I played trombone for my freshman year.
Okay. And did it just look like a paperclip in your hands? Or
it felt like it.
It's like just this big.
So
okay. So you were in the school band. It wasn't like a rock band. Okay, you were in the school band. Okay.
Right. So as I got in my sophomore year, my band teacher was like, I think we should try some more stuff with you. I mean, you seem really into this. And I'm like, I skipped gym so I could practice in the music room. I scarfed my lunch down really fast and ran across to the music room so I could practice a little more.
Oh, wow.
And he put me on baritone horn. So I'm playing trombone, I'm playing baritone horn. I started writing some pieces for that and pulled in some friends who went to the school that I actually wanted to go to, which was Manhattan School of Music. My parents just would not let me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm annoyed with you. A couple decades late, but on your behalf, I'm annoyed because it's like, oh my God, you should have been running the place. But okay, so you recruited friends from there to do some of your okay.
Yeah, so they played some music that I had written down, and then for junior and senior year, I was playing trombone, baritone horn, and tuba.
Okay.
And then college came around, and I took music appreciation classes. But I got, I'm also really into science, so I got deep into anthropology, and I'm like, well, I love the music, but I want to go dig up fossils and become an archaeologist. This is fantastic. And I love studying where humans came from and how evolution, happened and the proof that's there. And I had a friend who we used to sit in the kosher cafeteria together because I was also deep into like Christian religious studies and he was studying to be a rabbi. And we loved having debates together. And it was beautiful because at the end of it, it's just like this big hug. It's like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Yeah, I can see where you're cool. And I'm like, I wish the whole world was like that. Mm-hmm. And it's not. But I didn't go with studying more of the music theory because everything kind of got all screwy in my brain. And then my dad got into a car accident and I left school to go help him.
Like left school for a while? Yeah. Like you just, okay. Yeah. How long was that?
About a year and a half to kind of help him because he had to have a hip replacement and he wasn't getting around too well at all anyway. And I think I scared the hell out of him because I told him, it's like, all that time you gave me hell, now I'm going to give you hell till you get better. And I was trying to be, funny and oh God, for him, I was not.
And how old were you at this point?
I was, at that point I was 20. It was just before I had my motorcycle accident. So yeah, I was 20.
Okay. This is like a nesting doll of like trauma here where you're like, oh, well, I was doing this, but then there was the car accident and then it was right before I had the motorcycle. Okay. So we'll get there. But so you took time off from school. I mean, that's a huge thing in the middle, especially for someone with our brain where you've got your momentum and then you have to stop And then it was literally why I was like, when people are like, oh, are you going to go to college from, I was like, yes, right away. And they're like, are you going to go to grad school? I'm like, yes, right away. Because if I stop, I will never, ever, ever go back. But you went back?
Went back.
Good for you.
I finished. I got the anthropology degree.
Okay.
And I got a music education degree, which, came from the appreciation and other things around that. But I still never got deep enough into theory, which I really wanted. But I had always played everything by ear anyway.
Yeah. It would have just been telling you what you were already doing.
Yeah. I still wish I could get some of the theory behind it. Well, I can, but, 2 small kids.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make a living at this thing from, from a desk, basically.
Raising your children, making money,
right?
Supporting your family.
How
square. No, yeah, but you will at some point. You will have time to do that at some point. You will. And you will soak it in, because I think that's just the way that you are. But okay, so you didn't get the music theory, you're done, you graduate with your degrees, and then what happens next?
After that, life just got crazy. It just got crazy.
Okay.
There was it was
kind of crazy before, so that's got to be a watershed, because it got worse.
Yeah. So even before college, I had escaped and gone to the other side of the country for a little bit because, 17, I'm sick of my parents, my family, and all that. Got up, left, came back, found a bunch of friends that I should not have found. And tried my best to distance myself from them, but I'm always that type of person that like, oh, they need help. So, I'm here, so I might as well, and that opened up a whole bunch of garbage for me.
Okay.
But then I ran into a couple of young ladies at a music venue that they used to call it the BMW bar out in Chelsea, New York. Okay. It was this tiny little hole in the wall that just served beer and wine. But that's the B and the W, but the M was for music. So it was beer, music, and wine.
That's cool.
Little tiny stage. And these, a couple of ladies sitting there trying to figure out, is he gay? Because I gave off that vibe a lot back in the day. All you had to do was look at my shoes and you could tell I wasn't, because they were a mess. But, I started talking to them. He's like, oh, no, you're not. Okay, great. You want to head back my way? Please. Somebody like me. And I latched on. We got married. It was not good. It was me. And well, I'm not going to say anything about her. I mean, she had her thing. There was a lot of stuff coming at me that I could not handle. Okay. But I also realized I was not emotionally mature enough to be in that situation. I should not have been in that situation. And I caused about 50% of those problems.
Okay. Good for you I appreciate anybody that can, you're an anthropology person. You go back, you excavate, your past, and you can figure out which fossils were yours and which were theirs. I respect that, because it's, you at least learn from that. But okay. So you were yet again surrounded by and in an environment not entirely of your own choosing, but not completely not, that was not the right soil for you to bloom in. Okay. Right. Okay.
So when I realized that there was a problem was when I realized I hadn't been doing anything musical ever since she and I had gotten married, or even before that. That was a problem. That was a big problem. And I was slipping back into behaviors that I knew I didn't want, being associated with me. So once that was done, I ran off to another state for a while and eased my way back into music. But even that caused problems, because I ran off to another state with some other young woman who had real issues. This time I had to escape. So that's in a lot of my music.
Yeah.
But
I feel like I've heard about a lot of, okay.
Specifically the song Closure. I happened to, run into an ex.
Oh, that actually happened.
That happened.
Okay.
And I was not the me that I should have been. And it was all coming out. And I wrote that song immediately after that happened because I knew that was wrong. I knew
Okay.
it. And it felt like, even though you might not consider that closure with the relationship, it was closure on a chapter of me.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
was
which is
done. That was
arguably
done.
more important because
Yeah.
if you're not that person anymore, then you can't end up in that situation anymore because your
Yep.
boundaries are different, right? So,
Mhm.
okay, yeah. That one is that's a powerful one too. It's funny with you a lot of not a lot of but a fair number of your songs I get a distinct and I hope and you know how I am I only make positive comparisons, but I
Mhm.
think it's a very good thing. I get a Seal vibe from you a lot. You know, the instrumentation, sometimes the way that you smoke out your vocals, that kind of thing. And
Mm.
that one to me, if my memory of it is it's like if you took the basics of Every Rose Has Its Thorn, made it
Mhm.
better, put it in a blender with Don't Cry by Seal, and then Bobby Caned it, like that's that song. And so like I again, like I've listened to everything at least twice, and it's like once just for the wash of it, and then the other it's like picking out vocals, picking out lyrics, picking out music, and like that one felt like yeah, I mean, like there was something to that in particular where you were a little bit more in it, you were a little bit more processing, you were a little so that makes sense to me that it
Mhm.
actually happened. So okay, so
Yeah.
you got your closure at least on, you know, that Bobby, you know, 3.0 or whatever, and then
Mhm.
you were back in music or
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
From there, I got back into music.
okay,
I've had a
thank
couple of
God.
breaks. I had a couple of breaks here and there where I'm like, I need to, kind of adjust me
Mhm,
emotionally.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, yeah. And you would think the ADHD, like the hyperfocus, would make things so easy.
Oh, it doesn't. No, it really doesn't.
No, when I get hyper focused on the music, then yeah, I could do that. That's how brain chemistry came about. Because I got into an emotional crisis. I went to figure this all out. Started talking to someone,
Mm, mhm.
and I sat down and started writing music. And I just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. The next thing I know, I had like 6 songs, and I'm like, wow, this is great. But that first one needs an intro. So I wrote that seventh little piece called "Truth" and put it in the
Yeah,
front. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and it all just came flooding out. It was just that catharsis it was
Mhm,
beautiful.
mhm.
It felt great. But that's why I make music. And you're talking about, I should have a record deal and all that. I
Mhm.
don't I don't know. I don't know. I don't like I've spoken to people about it before. I'm like, I don't ever want to be a pop star or a rock star. I don't ever want to be a megastar. I don't need to
Right.
be ridiculously wealthy or rich. If I had enough to help some folks out from time to time, that'd be
Mhm.
great because there's a lot of people who need it, and I know what it feels like to not get it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But if I can keep making music and I can touch the people who need that connection, that need to know that they're not dealing with this stuff alone, that
Mhm.
somebody else feels this too, and they could push them along to say, all right, well, I'm not alone in this. Maybe I should talk to somebody,
Mhm.
or maybe I can keep moving a little further. I mean, I've had my moments of not wanting to go any further.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if I've mentioned it to you, or if you've seen a post that I put out about it one time, but I got super low because I was about to get married again at one point, and this amazing young woman thought that I was upset with her about something that happened in the past,
Mm.
took an entire bottle of Wellbutrin
Mm.
and committed suicide
Mm.
because she thought that I was going to get upset and leave. When I'm like, no, people do stuff. Their past is the past. But she was gone. I lost my shit.
Jesus, Bobby.
I lost my house, lost all my money. Um, I lost everything. I was walking around with a garbage bag full of clothes and one guitar, acoustic guitar, because that was all that I could carry. I slept underneath garbage bags in Astoria, Queens, out in front of apartment buildings because that's the best way to keep the snow off you.
Yeah.
Shove newspaper in your clothes to keep warm. That's a hell of an insulator. I had to learn all this stuff because I lost my mind. And I'm walking down the street one day with guitar in hand. I was going to go jam out a couple of tunes at this one really quiet spot that I knew, and that was going to be the end of it. I was done. I couldn't handle it anymore. And this guy standing out in front of a bar smoking a cigarette say, "Hey, you can play that thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so." Playing a song, and he says, "Well, the guy who's supposed to be here tonight canceled. Can you do like 4 hours of music?" And I'm like, "I can do 4 hours. Yeah. Like, yeah, sure, I can do that." And he says, "Good, we need you. Come on, come on in, talk to the owner." The owner became a good friend of mine. And I'm still here. When I say music has saved my life,
you mean literally. I was just thinking that. I'm like, holy shit, the universe knew that they had to pull you back because Jesus. But I mean, okay. I mean, I that's just there. Any one of the things that you've mentioned so far, we haven't gotten to the motorcycle accident.
Oh, God.
We're still we're not even done here. But like it's that could have felled any one of them, right? And so to have the onslaught of those things, and then to have the brain chemistry that you do, that we do, that which just it heightens everything. It overcomplicates everything. You overthink everything. You overfeel everything. And then you endlessly process things in every iteration and every possible outcome and everything. And it's just, when you said, you would think the ADHD and the hyperfocus would make things easier. It does when your brain chooses to obsess about the thing that you want it to. But it's like taking somebody, blindfolding them, spinning them around a bunch of times, and then being like, okay, there are walls everywhere and one tiny door. Get through that door. And it's like boing, boing, boing. But you have no idea what your brain's going to do. And by the time you get near that doorway, you have so many concussions and whatever, like you can't. So I really, and I in your music, one of the things, and again, I've said it about other artists, other bands, but I don't always find it in the music, is that even before you sing a single note or you say a single word, your heart in that song is there. And it just, there are so many songs where you could completely take the vocals out, and that same emotion would just ring right through anyway. And I think that is because you've lived like 400 lives. And you're probably still in your 20s at this point chronologically. So, I mean, I really just, it's because you bleed music like that. Thank God that guy was there. I mean, thank God that guy was there, because I mean, obviously, duh, like, for a host of reasons. But I mean, was that a moment where things started to turn for you, or was that a temporary reprieve, or what was the...
That was a huge turnaround for me.
Okay.
From that point on, I didn't have any of the major setbacks that I had with trying to keep up with the promise that I made to myself to always, be straightforward. I did end up dealing with, being naive in a lot of places because I didn't have enough experience with proper relationships. And
you had no model for any of that. So why would you?
Right. And people, dealing with people, like, I love people, but people suck, and most of them not very well.
Indeed.
I just want the world to be all about just love, just share love, and everybody's got their own view of what that is. And in a lot of ways, that's great. But we don't have to keep going through all this negative, awful, nasty, icky poo-poo stuff. We don't have to do that. A lot of our issues come from just listening.
Yeah.
People hear. Definitely. People hear, but a lot of people don't listen. When you have a conversation, so many people are just barely listening because they want to have the availability of making a point. They want to make.
They're waiting for their turn to talk. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
But if you actually sit and you listen to people, imagine how much you can learn.
That's right.
And that's what life is supposed to be about. You're on this earth to learn. you learn how to love yourself. You learn how to love others. You learn how to communicate and exist with others. You learn about their lives. They learn about your lives.
Mhm.
Cultures go back and forth,
Mhm.
and people talk about, oh, cultural appropriation. Good. Let it mix.
It's about
Learn.
intent too, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, and
And
I wanna underscore what you're saying because the idea of like, "Oh, can't we all just get along and love and whatever?" It's become a cliche, and I
yeah,
think it's because people don't really consider what it means,
right.
and I think that if there's one thing, in my time on this planet that I have come to know better than probably anything else, it's exactly what you just said, which is that literally the point and the meaning and the necessity of absolutely everything is connection. It's
Yeah.
connection. It's connection with
Mhm.
yourself, being honest with yourself, taking accountability, growing,
Mhm.
learning and listening, as you said, connecting with other people, connecting with your past and processing that and taking from it what you need to and repairing what you need to and leaving behind what you need to. And I mean, it's
Mhm.
why I think we all need music the way that we do because
Exactly.
it is an equalizing way to do that, to connect with people that you will never ever meet, that you don't even necessarily or know are listening to your music. I mean, I got to think there are people out there listening to Brain Chemistry that you don't even
Mhm.
know who are taking comfort in that, who are taking, a feeling of belonging or at least somebody understanding them from that, and you
Yeah.
couldn't go around and do that with every single person that's going to listen to your music. You couldn't possibly. But
Right.
you're exactly right though, because so much of life is just us creating our own problems because we're not being authentic and we're not being honest and we're not connecting.
Right.
So I
But I
feel you so much on that.
Yeah, and I just didn't know how to deal with people who didn't have that
Yeah.
at the forefront.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Same.
I fell into a lot of traps here and there, and yeah, took a lot of learning. Took a lot of learning. I'm still learning. I'm learning every day.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
Ed may have been a jerk, but I learned a lot from him too. And he told me, like, if there's a day that goes by that you haven't learned something, then that day is completely lost.
Mm. Okay. I mean, it's a lot of pressure to put on a kid, but okay. I agree with the
Oh,
sentiment though. I
yeah.
do.
But think about it. Even when you're a kid, we're learning constantly as kids. Like
Yeah.
you pick up a coin and you drop it, you learn. That coin takes a little while to get to the ground. It makes a sound.
Yeah.
It might bounce a little bit. It'll clatter. Wow, I didn't know it'll do that. Let me try that again.
Mhm.
Being a child is all science experiment.
Yeah, because the
Everything
whole
you
world
do.
is new to you. You're like an
Absolutely.
archaeologist on Mars. Like you're going
Right.
through and figuring out just how everything works. You're right. But as you get older,
Don't
you
grow out of
choose
it.
whether to learn or not,
Right.
whether to
And that's,
tamp down that curiosity and that
yeah,
openness. So, and you
that's the
clearly do
problem.
not do that. You don't do that. You
I
don't do it
don't
in your
want to
life. You
grow up.
don't do it in your music either.
I don't want to grow up.
You're a Toys R Us kid.
Yeah. Oh my god. I sang the whole theme song to my son while we were waiting for the school bus the other day. And he's looking at me like, "What?" I'm
You're
like,
gonna have to
"Dude."
ask Greg about his association with that theme song when we're done. But okay, so
Ooh,
I want to get into the music, the songs specifically a little bit more because
sure.
first of all, I want Greg to be able to play snippets of things so that people are hearing lots of things. So we're going to do some of that, but I can't decide whether it makes more sense to me to start back in the stuff that was from like 2019. That's the earliest stuff that you
Mhm.
have online, or to
Okay.
go from the beginning, or to go from now backwards. But I think we'll just kind of jump. But I mean, I think we should start by talking about the EP because that makes it the most sense to me, right? So you
Okay.
you you have two new singles out. Well, now three with Lust.
Mhm.
And we'll talk about those. We'll talk about that one song, which fucking bop, man. Oh my god. We're gonna just talk about it right now because why not? Like
Okay, cool.
that song. We played that on one of the lives, the Box and Guest lives, and the one
Yeah.
that you co-hosted, and I just for anyone who was alive and able to pay attention to music in the era of the 80s when Quincy Jones was he had his thumbprint on everybody that was anybody in music. And, Michael Jackson was all over the airwaves. And there was just
Mhm.
that thing that nobody's doing anymore. Like that was the whole sound for years in the 80s. You remember that? It was like you
Oh
turned
yeah.
it on and like that was it. You had that like funky pop, soulful, vaguely R&B, vaguely what like, and it was his own thing. It was new
Mhm.
and it was everywhere. And then
Yeah.
like I don't know if it was grunge or if it was the boy bands, like the New Kids on the Block or whatever. Something killed it, right? And you just
Yeah.
even Michael Jackson started doing different shit, and he was standing on cars and screaming and and then whatever, and it was just different and we lost it. And so when you put that song out, we got to hear it early again because of the show, and I was so excited. And I put it on. I was like, "Oh my god, I am a little kid again in the back seat of a car with the windows down, driving to God knows where with that on the radio." And it takes you
Yeah.
right back, and it's so good. So, talk to me about that one song.
That one song came from a joke. It came from a joke because, I tended to stick around the rock genre and a little bluesy type things.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and a lot of singer-songwriters have their innate tempo. So a lot of what they write is in that one
hmm
tempo or that one tempo range. And I said, one of these days I'm just going to write like a Quincy Jones era Michael Jackson-ish pop
yeah,
song and see what
yeah.
happens. And a friend of mine said, you should do that. And I went, could I do that?
Of course, you could do
And I sat in this room right here
that.
and I started with like a little bit of a guitar riff, pulled out the keyboard and went and just laid down some pads and just started messing with the guitar riff. And then I built the drum track over that. And I went, oh my God, I could do this. This reminds me of, and I started running through a whole bunch of songs that I used to love as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But ADHD brain set in, so I'm going through this whole list of songs, and I started thinking about all the songs that I would play over and over again in the past and today and all that. And the first one, like what I need is some fairy tales like Anita Baker would sing. I don't know if you get into Anita Baker.
I love Anita Baker.
Oh my God.
Anita Baker, I was a weird little fucking kid. I'm weird now, but like I wanted to be Anita Baker when I was a kid. And there are still sometimes I'll just be doing laundry or I'll be trying to fall asleep or I'm in the shower and all of a sudden in my head I hear, with all my heart, I love you, baby.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Yes.
And then I have to go and listen to her. And she just dropped off the fucking earth for like the longest time. She
wanted to be a mom.
Talented. Good for her. I didn't know that was why. Okay, you know what? That's the only reason that made it worth not getting more music from her was being a mom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so short answer, love Anita Baker. Love.
Well,
Okay.
Well, I mean, like when I was going through a whole lot of stuff, like I would play fairy tales over and over and over again.
Mm.
And I love the song. And it's a very sad song, but it's a very empowering song, and I think most especially for young women, I think young women should listen to this song and understand you don't need a prince to save you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You are a power within yourself, but it doesn't necessarily have to be just young women. It could be anybody.
Right. Exactly.
You have that power within yourself. And listening to that song helped me, but I didn't take the message in until way later.
That's the way of things often. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that song started me thinking, well, yeah, that was that one song that I constantly listened to. And like, just recently, Foo Fighters has some stuff and, anything by Tower of Power. But Michael Jackson's always been my gut. And it just became the lyrics to the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once I got that, I went back.
So meta. It's great. Yeah.
I wiped out a whole bunch of stuff, replayed it, and went like, no, this is how I'm doing it.
Okay.
And it felt right. It felt right. So.
No, but it's brilliant too because it manages to be the thing it's talking about, but because you've acknowledged what you're doing and it almost becomes, it is very meta. It's a tribute that's in the style of the thing that you're tributing. Yeah. And it just, I mean, that one song, you cannot listen to that and not feel happy, even just for a couple minutes. That is a smile on your face song. That song just, and maybe it's if you were of the era, I don't know if I hadn't grown up listening to it that it would quite hit me in the same way. I would definitely still be bopping along to it. But and coming from the first things I heard of yours were Brain Chemistry, right? And I'm like, okay, we're doing this now, that is the thing. You could tell me, Bobby Kane, that your next song was going to be an homage to Looney Tunes, sung in the style of Christina Aguilera, written by Rob Zombie, and I would be like, I'll pre-save that because it's Bobby. So Bobby, guys, when that comes out in about 6 weeks, what I just said from Bobby, you'll know that it was all because of me. But like I trust you musically implicitly. I am not, when I put on anything of yours, like just now, okay, Bobby had sent me an email and with Lust in it. Song. The other ones are DMs, but Bobby had sent that to me, and I just didn't see it in time. And so before we started rolling, I sat here and I played it, and I don't know, I probably looked like an idiot, but I'm sure I was sitting here just like bopping along, whatever. And that's all of your music to me. Because I know what good, very large hands I'm in, musically, that you know exactly who you are. And what I find fascinating is that you can be authentic in all these different genres and genre mixes and new sounding genres. And there's nothing about it where there's a false note, because I've heard people do very good versions of things, but there's something, that intangible thing that's just missing. And it takes me out of the music just enough where I will enjoy it, I'll be cool with it, and I will put it aside, and I will maybe never remember it again, right? But your stuff, I don't know how you do it, but whether you're doing like hard rock, or you're doing gospel, or you're doing like an alt rock, or more of a pop, like that one song, or whatever it is that you're doing, covers. And I mean, you're covering Billy Idol and George Michael and Prince. And I'm like, okay, like not the same musicians at all to each other. And it all sounds right to me. Like it's all genuine. It's all authentic. And I'm buying in immediately. Now, some of that is voice. Now you, sir, Mr. Sir, with your voice, which I love, you change how you sound depending on what you're singing. And don't worry, guys, I remember that I was going to talk about the songs. I am, but I'm doing it in a global way. Okay, I'm getting there. They know by now when I am at this level of, like, if I had 3 knees, they would be up right now, like whatever. But like, this is a 3-knee situation. But like, my brain is just, and so I have to, but I want to say all the things I want to say because I have to love on you because you deserve it. But like, what the fuck was I saying now? Your vocals. I got it. Not like you were going to remember because your brain is the same as mine, but like your vocals will change depending on what you're singing. Right. So a lot of times I will be listening and I'll go, that's Bobby's baby face timbre. Okay. I'll hear that. And then I'm like, that's Bobby's Tony timbre. Okay. And then I'm like, okay, that's Bobby's BB King timbre now, and like it's all, and I don't get the sense that you're doing it consciously. I think that's what the song makes you sing. But I mean, how much of that is conscious that you're going, okay, now I want to sound more, like on a war song, your timbre is totally different than on like a home or a closure or something like that. So how much of that is front of mind, or is it just?
I don't think any of it is really, like when I write the music, I try my best to let go into it. And, if you listen to my music chronologically from the stuff that I recorded first and move along, you can hear the progression of me kind of learning how to let go. Because, I started out still very, very guarded. And I want to sing certain things and I want to get them out, but I'm still kind of holding back because fear is a big, big issue in my life, considering how I've, grown up. But as I move along, I start letting the song just take over, and I'm not me, in that moment. I'm not me. I'm part of, I don't know, like the Flash would say, the Speed Force. Like I'm part of the music force, I don't know. Yeah, I'm that geek.
No, I'm here for it.
I'm part of this feeling. And by the time I'm done with recording a take or recording a track, I have to come back to myself, because I'm not really there. I'm not really there. So I have to come back to myself, and I need to take a moment. And, sometimes I'll listen back and I'm like, where the hell did that come from?
You know what, Bobby Kane? This is a thought that just occurred to me, and I'm not going to tell you your own experience, but I wonder if in those moments you are exactly you without all of the shit that our brains overlay onto every single thing that we experience, right? Like it's like the most complicated insta filter ever to go through life with a neurodivergent brain plus trauma. Like, because you feel everything more deeply and you've experienced way more shit than most people, right? You, me, what, like I'm the royal you, we, whatever.
Right.
And I think in those moments when you let go, because I hear it in the music, I hear you're not gone. That's you distilled to me. That's essence, right? That's you without all the guards and the shit and the locks and the bolts and the fear and the whatever. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's part of why your music touches me so much, because there are a lot of people in this community that are insanely talented, tremendously talented. We know that. We talk to them, we hang out with them on the regular, like we know that. And there are far more people than we know that are in this specific community that also fall into that thing. But not everyone gets that thing for me that you do, where I'm resonating with it so hard, and I'm just, I get a little hyper fixated on it, frankly, and because it's hitting all the points. You know what that's like. You're probably in the middle of making a song and it's just and all of the, it's like going in the elevator and like hitting all the buttons, and it just but I wonder if that is you not bound by all of the things that bind you. I don't know, but maybe another way to think about it. But I love what you said too, that you have to kind of re-enter your own body and your own brain after you get like that. So, I mean, how often when you come back into it, do you go cut, print, done? And how often is it like are the songs pretty much, do they tend to come out mostly where you want them pretty quickly? Does it depend on the song? Like, what's that process for you, songwriting and all that?
It does depend on the song, but a lot of times and I know a lot of people can relate, I am always my own worst critic. Always. I will do 6, 7 takes, sometimes 10 on like vocals.
Okay.
And I'll go back through them and I'll probably wipe them all out and do like that 11th take, and that'll be it.
Okay.
Because I have to get in there and just nitpick. I have to, because if I don't, I feel like I'm not being me. I'm not being myself. Because it's been done to me so much, I feel like I have to do it.
Okay, now wait a minute now.
Yeah.
We're not roller skating past that right away. Hold on.
Geez.
That's a real no, and I don't mean I'm going to pry into anything.
No, it's fine.
But that's a really good insight. That's a really, really good insight, because what you're saying is that you've learned something and you do it to yourself now. And I've had talks like that with my kids, with myself, with other people in my life, where I will basically say, like, if you continue to do those things, it's almost like you're taking over the mantle of abusing yourself, dismantling yourself, suppressing yourself, whatever that they did, and it's almost like, don't choose to perpetuate that for yourself. But I
Mhm.
never really thought about it in the context of something like this, where
Yeah.
you'll sit there and go, you know what, I bet your first take is just as good as it needed to be, right? And probably your fifth take and your 10th take too. But you have to do that. That's really interesting to me because you're conscious
Yeah.
of it, but can you stop
Yeah.
it? Or is it like, did you ever put out anything where you were like, I did like 2 takes and I was done? And it was like, do you have anything like that anywhere?
Yeah, actually, my cover of Rebel Yell. That was it.
Oh
That
my
was the
God.
only one. But it is so hard to, even though I know it's happening and I know where it's coming from, my brain just kind of argues with itself. Like one half is like, look, we've got to do this. This is what we're used to. This is what it's all about. We have to go in there. We have to dig up every
Mhm.
little detail. We have to find everything that's wrong. And the other side's like, dude, it was fine.
Are you
Just chill.
also superstitious about it if you don't do it?
I
I don't
used to
mean
feel
like
that
black
way.
cat walk under a ladder superstitious. I mean like almost you feel afraid if you don't, because I get like that with things. So I'm curious if okay.
I used to have issue with that. I've kind of worked out away from that a little bit, but
Okay.
almost like if I don't do this many takes, I'm not gonna ever find the right one, and the next one would have been the one that was perfect.
Mm. The
Ah,
Vegas
God, it
prophecy of
hurts.
things. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, it's painful.
Okay.
It's so painful.
But
Oh
you know what
man.
though? Like even this is also meta, right? Because one of the things that you said earlier about your music and not needing to be a rock star and all of that. And I didn't even really mean that in terms of having a label or a deal
Mhm,
or anything like that. Because you don't need one really.
mhm.
We still want one, guys, so throw lots of money at him if you're a record label. But what I
Jeez.
meant more is that that would be a way to get as many people as possible to hear you, which
Mm,
everybody should. And more than that, you said, if somebody out there can hear brain chemistry,
mhm,
or anything that I've written, and maybe not feel so alone, or be emboldened to take things on, or to look at themselves, or to escape a situation or whatever, and like even
mhm,
in that little moment, and I ordinarily wouldn't ask a question like that because the show's not about me, obviously, but that's another connection, right? That if I can say, do you do this too? Does your brain do
mhm,
that too? And like when you're like,
mhm.
yeah, that helps. It helps because like even if you can't do anything about it, you're not the only person that does it. So it's
Right.
not you and your super tiny, table for one weird ass mental box, right? It's like there are other people, and like you give so much of that out with the music, and I love that even before, like you were saying, with the vocals. And I'm thinking back to the stuff from 19, 20, 21, and the vocals are great, but if I think about it, there is a tightness is not the right word, but
Mhm,
there is maybe a slight emotional, not sonic, but emotional reserve to your
yeah.
vocals that I don't hear anymore. So
Mhm,
I think, but again, it's all great. So I'm not saying like, oh, it didn't sound good or any, because I don't want to be
mhm.
in your
No,
brain at
no.
3 a.m. and you're going, did she mean it wasn't? No, I don't. If you
No,
can't
you're
fucking get how much I love your music by now, Bobby, like
oh,
I'm gonna have to do an intensive workshop with you over the next couple of
jeez.
weekends or whatever. But no, but I mean, like I love that. I love that you sit there and you'll say, okay, I feel like I'm able to let go more.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, okay, so, and then the other song that you came out recently that wasn't that one song or Lust, and this one surprised the shit out of me. Used to know them.
Oh, now here's the thing. Here's
When
the
is
thing.
that from?
That actually is not me. I have been having issue. I went and trademarked my name. In fact, Bobby Kane Music is now trademarked
Okay.
because there have been other artists who are
This might
coming out.
explain a lot to me. Okay.
Yeah, there's other artists coming out using the name, and of course, when I went to do the trademark, they're saying, "Well, we can have them cease and desist," and I'm like, "I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that because
Yeah.
if it is their name, I mean, Bobby Kane is a moniker for me. It's a stage name, but I've been using
Right.
it since like 1989.
So it's
So
basically your name at this point. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
But yeah, I used to know them. That's not me. That is
That
another
makes a
artist.
lot more sense because I
Right.
was like, when did Bobby start making dance music? Which,
So
like, you could do actually, but that actually is perfect. So, guys, I don't know who that is then. I don't know who it is, but like, it just popped up on my Spotify from you. Like,
right.
it popped up under you. And I was like, when did he release this? It was like the day before you release. It was like the day before Halloween. I was like, he had 2 out. He didn't mention this to me. And I'm listening
Yeah.
to it, and this is like a
Right.
like it's like I was back in the limelight, like dancing or whatever.
Oh my
And
God,
like
I missed that place.
that place was great. No, but like, and I was like, but you know what? I was like, okay, I'll
Well,
believe it's a
yeah.
Bobby Kane song. Like that's what I mean. You can literally do anything. So all right. So fuck that. We're not talking about that one because
Well,
I
no.
don't know that Bobby Kane. I don't know her.
Actually, I do want to say,
You wanna
like, I made contact with Spotify. I haven't seen if they're anywhere else, but I made contact with Spotify just to let them know this person's not me. And it's not because, it's like, oh, I hate their music or whatever.
No.
I actually think they did a brilliant job. I was
Yeah.
sitting there bopping to it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's cool.
this isn't me, but this is really cool. So I want them to get their revenue,
Yeah.
from this.
Yeah.
Because if their revenue's coming to me and I didn't make that, that's not cool.
No, not at all. There you go.
So
okay, Bobby is
you know.
saying go listen to other Bobby Kane, but just briefly, and then come back to his actual stuff. So,
I don't mind
that
at
makes
all.
a lot more sense to me because it was such a weird genre shift. But again, I was like, all right, that did not occur to me that you wouldn't necessarily want to try something like that. But it was more that like you didn't, but it was more like you didn't mention it to me, and I thought that was weird. So because I went back and I looked and I was like, where did this come from? Okay, so skipping over that, but like.
Okay.
Then we get to brain chemistry. Okay. And this EP, I know I'm always supposed to call it an EP, but I call them an album because it's fucking album, whatever. Like this thing is just, it's straight fire. Like I love everything about it. I love the topic. I love the way that you delve into mental health, struggles with mental health, being neurodivergent, just like all of it. I love the music. I love how different everything on the album is from everything else. I love how beautifully that even despite that, everything works together. So you really feel like you're listening to an album. And I'm going to tell people, I know you've probably heard War Song. Okay, that's if you, and it's so funny because Bobby, you'll laugh at this, but anytime I put on Spotify and I play any song by anyone, okay, I'll play Replicate by Anger Overdose. I'll play something from Devenir by Steam Slicer. I'll play a Star Uni song, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. As soon as it finishes, the next song it will play for me is always War Song.
Wow.
Every single time.
Wow.
And I don't know, and I'm not mad at it, but I don't know why it does it. But I've probably heard the beginning, like the first 4 bars of War Song more times than you have at this point, because I listen to so much music and it's like every other song is that for like, and I'm like, I love you, Bobby. I have to go and listen to this one now, so, I mean, but that album it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And it's so good. Just everything. And I'm sorry, I know you're uncomfortable. As I said, the cheeks need to, but so I want to go through that a little bit song by song. So you mentioned it very briefly, Trust.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that song, 1.5 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very different. Okay. I'm getting Lord of the Rings vibes like from that, which I love because super nerd. And then you have this Middle Eastern sitar kind of flair to it. And the lyrics are so poignant. Talk to me about why that decision that you made to put something before War Song turned into Trust. Because it's such a specific choice, but it's really cool.
I think when I decided to put that in, it was mostly because, War Song just pops right in.
Yeah.
And it's a really hard opener. And I still felt like I had to get something out. You know,
Okay.
and I spent a lot of years, like I had mentioned, hosting the open mics out in Greenwich Village. A lot of that time was, working with new musicians who are like so afraid to go up on stage. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of times I'd go up on there with them. I haven't heard their song, but my guitar's plugged in and I'm noodling a little
Yeah.
bit of stuff behind their chords because I catch onto their chord structure or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they come back and they blow it up.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of times where people would come and talk to me about being scared about other things. There's so many times that I've had, friends of mine saying, "Hey, look, I've had a little bit too much to drink, and there's this guy staring at me.
Oh
I
yeah.
shouldn't have worn this skirt. Can you walk me to the train station?" I'm like,
Mhm.
"I'll walk you to the train station. I'll take you to your stop. I'll walk you home. I can get back on the train and go home. I don't care. I don't sleep." Because at that time I didn't really. But I would constantly want to put myself out there, and I say want to because it's necessary to put those words in there. But I put myself out there to help people who needed help.
Mhm.
If someone was down and they needed someone to talk to, I gave people my phone number and said, "Look, if you need to call somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
I'm usually up anyway.
Yeah.
I'll pick it up. We'll talk." And they've used it, and that's great.
Yeah.
A lot of my life, I didn't have anybody to do that with. I didn't have anybody who would say, "Hey, call
You
me
didn't
at
have
3
a
in the morning."
you. Yep.
I didn't have anybody to get that out to.
Mhm.
And over the years, I realized how much of that had gotten built up, shoved into a little corner of my, of my brain until I couldn't quite see it anymore.
Hmm.
And then I took on more and did the same thing and took on more and did the same thing until the point where I went into absolute emotional crisis
Yeah.
because I just wanted to be helpful, because helping people get through their stuff, like me telling them, "Yeah, I believe that everything is going to be okay for you. I meant 100% of that."
Yeah.
But having them take that in and seeing the difference made me feel like there was hope for me.
Oh yeah. 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 No,
Mhm.
Jesus, Bobby, you and I are like, I'm not going to say we were separated at birth because that would be super complicated for a variety of reasons. But like, we're so much the same because I know what you mean. It is wholly altruistic, absolutely, but it's
Mm,
almost like having light reflected off somebody back onto you. It's less light, it's more diffuse, but you do get a little bit of it, and in that, there's hope that also enables you to keep giving other people hope, right? It's like because you can't pour from an empty cup, right? It has to come
right,
from somewhere. But I
right.
also know that feeling of it's like the more you give, you get it back, but it's not getting something. The joy and the feeling that you get from helping other people doesn't necessarily solve that exact puzzle piece for you, because it isn't
Mm,
somebody saying to you, you know what,
right.
you're okay. And I bet if you're like me, you're super optimistic about everybody else's situation, but when it's you, all you can be is pessimistic, right? It's like, I
Yeah.
can't, somebody will come to me and say something like exactly a situation I might be in and be like, no, of course, this is all the reasons why you'll be, it's good. And I empathize with you. And I really, truly believe you'll be fine. And then if it happens to me, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. Like you can't. So I
Oh,
hear
yeah.
you. So that was the genesis of trust
Yeah.
then. Okay.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
I've had those times where people that have taken advantage of the 3 a.m. call, to talk until, "Hey, look, it's time to go to work." All right.
Yeah.
I'd go through something. I'm like, "Hey, you got a minute?" I'm like, "Nah, man, I can't help you."
Right.
"Oh, okay. Well,
Right.
no, that's cool. That's fine."
Well, and it also makes me
You know?
think of like the check-in, right?
Yeah.
There's so much in guys brain chemistry. See, and listen, I'm going to tell you this specifically, and you have to listen to all of his music, and it's just legal now. It's the law, and you will be fined and imprisoned if you don't, and that's just the way it is. I don't make the rules. But brain chemistry, please don't just TikTok brain sample it and listen to a song, or listen to the whole thing, because it's meant to work together. And
Mhm.
the way that the stories, which is really what I think of it as more even than lyrics, but the way that the stories that Bobby is telling, yeah, not R, like the way that the stories unfold, it's just, there's so much so that by the time you get to the last song, you're
Mhm.
where you need to be emotionally, right? But like the check-in made me cry because
Oh, yeah.
it's, and the whole thing is telephone affected, right? Basically. So
Yeah.
And it needs to be, because it's a call. Okay. It is a check-in, and it is one of the most lonely emotions that you can experience, where somebody is doing kind of this perfunctory reaching out to you, right? Like, it's like, they care. They want to make sure you're okay. They want to see if you want to come hang, get some coffee, and then like you don't. And and then it just kind of all from there. And that person doesn't understand where you are. And it's like you live in two different worlds. And it is one of those moments in which somebody reaching out to you can make you feel lonelier than you did beforehand. And I felt that.
See, and I love the fact that you said that, because that piece that I wrote was like a dual brain piece. Like, one side of my brain was sitting exactly where you just described it.
Okay.
And the other side of my brain, which is why I ended the song with the words, "That's all I ask,"
right, is
going, I'm the person on the other end of that phone call. That never actually happens. Because there have been times I've been doing that recently. Like, I've kind of isolated myself because I can't deal with the fact that people out in the world are just so mean and so awful and so horrible to each other. And so I just kind of say, look, I'm just going to stay here. I'm going to isolate in my home. I'm going to do what I need to do here. But all of those people who was like, hey, brother, it's so great to see you. Where are they?
Yeah.
Where are the people who are like, yeah, man, I'm always going to be with you, man. Anytime you need me, I'm there.
Except for now. And then, and also any other time. But that's it. And it's for anybody who's had periods where those are almost all, if not all, of your friendships, that song just, it knocked me right in the gut. It really did, because you cannot write that. You cannot sing that. You cannot play that the way that you did if you have not lived that feeling over and over and over again. And I got there, and it was like from the first line, I was like, I know exactly what the song is going to be about. And even the fact that it's affected the way that it is, it's not just smart because it is like a call. It's because that voice is so distanced from the person on the other line. You know what I mean? Like that. And and that's what it's like. It's like you are in a room that's almost soundproof, right? And it's a bubble and you can see out, but there are all these people out there and nobody's looking. They're just going right by you. And I know that feeling so well. And this is what I mean, guys. Like, I can't stress enough, if you have ever been in a place where you felt like you weren't understood, where you felt like you weren't held or supported or connected or loved or appreciated or made worthy or trusted, you're going to get this album and you're going to love it. Like, and I don't mean just get, I mean like you're going to understand it. You're going to hear it and really listen, because as Bobby said, those are two very different things. And it's going to connect with you, because this guy knows what he's fucking talking about. This is not somebody who's decided to make an album about mental health because it's trendy, right? Like, this is real life. So, but I really just, from one song to the next song to the next, Trust has that sweeping kind of thing, and it's so poignant, and there's so much melancholy to it. And then War Song, like you said, whoa, okay. And it would have been a great opener. But I think you're exactly right, though, that you needed to be vulnerable before you sang that. That needed to not be the first thing, because then the rest of the album might not have made as much sense. So talk about War Song, because that's an anthem. That's a rally cry right there. That song kicks so much ass.
Yeah, well, part of the reason that I put Trust and War Song together in the video is it just has to be that way. But War Song came about because the last job I had working for other people, I lost because of other people and their stupidity. I had a young lady who just wasn't doing the job right, and I went and tried to help. And I said, look, I don't want the people in the office in the back. You get on your case, so let's stay on top of this. But they had already seen it, so they came out there and talked to her, and she came down on me, and just like, she's this tiny little thing, and I'm trying to back off because she's being super hostile. And then she hit that PTSD moment where she just hit that one button, You know, that one that my mom used to use all the time. Not my biological mother, my
Oh,
adopted
yeah,
mother.
yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
adopted mother. She used it all the time. If something bothered me and something upset me, she'd do that. What are you so upset for? Is there something wrong with you? She used those exact
Completely.
words.
Oh, fuck.
And
Which just invalidates every single thing that you are.
so, a friend of mine was like, look, it's lunchtime. Why don't you just go home? And I'm like, yeah. I was shaking when my manager called me, and he's like, yeah, you know what? Monday, take Friday off. Monday, we'll come in, we'll talk about it, we'll work it all out.
Okay.
Friday, he calls me again and says, yeah, well, I spoke to HR and they figured to terminate because, of abandonment, which never happened. Never happened. So I chose then and there to go back to doing music full time because I had been doing music full time before 2020 hit. And it was a lot better then because, I was actually performing out at the time. Right now I'm dealing with a lot of psychological stuff about performing out that I'll get over.
Oh, yeah. You will
Well,
learn. There's no rush there. Believe me, I get it.
So I mentioned to a friend of mine, I'm like, I'm sick and tired of losing out to the people who don't have a work ethic, to the people who do the very least, to the slackers, to the, those guys who just don't care. When I just went and one person, me, reshuffled everything in 2 gigantic warehouses single-handedly, put the whole system together to try to make sure everything was exactly where it needed to be. And they took the person who was just like, well, I don't really care. I'm just going to take it from wherever. Say I got it from the other place and mess it up for everybody else. She's fine. I'm gone.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of a microcosm of the bigger thing, right? That, same idea in life of just, the people who care a lot, the people who try a lot, the people who do the work, and then they're usually the ones get screwed because why the hell not? But I love that, this is not a cry for help. This is a war song, and it was so great to hear you say that, because it's one of the more, I hate the word centered, but that was the word that popped to mind. But you grounded in yourself in that moment with that righteous indignation, and I love it. And it works on a lot of levels too. If you don't know the specific story and you take that as you in your own life against your brain, you take that, like you in all the relationships that you've ever been in, you take that as a black man in this country, you take that as just a person in the world, you do. And it applies to all of that. Right. So, but I mean, and then, brain chemistry. Okay. Like Bobby Kane, you do me in, because I mean, that one just really, I mean, it leads into everything else for me, like that's where you really set up the remaining half of the EP. So talk to me about writing Brain Chemistry specifically. The song, not the EP.
No, I got you. Brain Chemistry was a letter to people that I love dearly, because I have a very hard time reaching out to people, making phone calls out, because I want to talk to them. I genuinely want to, catch up with them. And I start thinking, well, I don't know. It's been a while. They don't want to talk to me. I mean, I don't really have anything all that interesting to say right now, and they're probably busy, and I don't want to bother them. And then time will just go by, and it'll just go by, and it'll just go by. And I'm sitting here feeling horrible because I love them. I mean, specifically, like my friend Meg, who lives in Portland, Oregon now. She used to be my roommate back in Astoria, Queens, and then before that, close friends with my wife. I haven't spoken to her in over a year, and I love this person like she is my own family. Like we escaped the womb together. My friend Kristen, who lives in Virginia, I love her dearly, but I went through a bit of a crisis around the last time we spoke, and it took a while to get through it, and it took so long to get back to her. I hadn't been able to call her. And some of the guys that are around here, like some of the biker community, I had been taking a little bit of a hiatus, like, I love these guys and I want to talk to them, and I have such a hard time trying to just pick up the phone and say, hey, I was hoping that maybe we could have a little chat. What's going on?
Yeah.
Hey, you want
Yeah.
to get together? And
But you know why that happens, though. You know why that happens. You do. You have to, because Bobby, I have been. Oh, honey, I have been that in my life so many times. I have relationships that were paramount to me in different stages of my life, where I was like, these people are. That's it. They're permanent. They're my people. They're my life. Whatever. And because just something happened, and I was, dysregulated, and I couldn't people. Like, I just couldn't. You go into, I call it safe mode, like on your computer when it's running just the necessary programs so that it doesn't crash. So I would go into safe mode, and then too much time would go by, and then it's like, I can't, like, it's awkward, and I can't,
Yeah.
then I have to explain where I was and how my brain was and why, and then hope they're not angry at me, because I can't take that responsibility of feeling like I've hurt them or abandoned them or failed them, because I already feel that way, but I'm barely building myself back up in this moment, and I need them, but I can't need them because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel you. But like, it when you grow up in an environment where every need that you have is invalidated and your self-worth is bargain binned, right? Why would you be able to feel like you are entitled to need other people and deserve that connection? Like, it just doesn't. Those two and two, make five at that point. You can't make your brain do that. But I feel you. I'm back in I'm just thinking of people right now in my life that's happened with. Like, I could list out a mega, like I could do the same thing, but like, that song is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because you're saying it, it's just my brain chemistry. And like, people who don't get it, like, one of my favorite things somebody said to me once was, for those who get it, no explanation is necessary. For those who don't, no explanation is sufficient. And it's so true, because if you,
very true.
People in my life who have issues with mental health, who are also neurodivergent, I could fall off the face of, like, my cousin Kevin. We won't talk for like 2 years, and then we'll pick it right back up, because we'll just be like, oh, life. Yeah, life. Okay, anyway, we're good. Let's start from here. People that don't wrestle with their brain like that, you cannot make it make sense for them. You just can't. And even if I'm sure the people that you're talking about would get it enough, where they, even if they can't understand it from their own perspective, they know you enough. But that fear and those chains will hold you right back from everything that you need to access. So that song, it got me. It gets me, because I know that song. I could have, if I were more talented like you, I could have written that song. But then, okay, Bobby Kane, we have to move. I'm moving a little bit quickly in the sense, because I just want to cover as many of these as I can. We are getting to possibly, and I can't say it because I can't pick, but definitely one of my top songs of yours. And I remember after we first met, and I, at you with everything, I did a live on Facebook, and I was playing your song on our TV, just so it could be on the real speakers, because I listen to so much shit through my phone and it's not the same thing. And I'm just so hard to love you. And oh my God, that song. It is the first blues that I heard from you. Okay. And that song is dirty, and it's sexy, and it puts me in my feelings. And like, it's just, and I mean, I again, that's a big one. That's a big BB King song for me. Like, that's Lucille singing on the other, like, I hear it. And I mean, you let go on the guitar in that one. Like, so talk to me about that one, because I love that song.
Yeah. That was a moment in the mirror.
I was wondering if it was you. Okay.
Yeah. Because that's why I put it at the end. It was like, sometimes I find it so hard loving me, but I'm damn sure going to try, because like I was saying before, we're our own worst critic all the time. Oh, yeah. But so much of my life, I've had trouble from what I thought was outside sources, what I thought was, all sorts of outer stimuli. And
Yep.
it really just came from all the stuff that I was keeping inside myself, all the fears that I was feeding on because they were put into me. A lot of them are still there, and it's going to take a long time to get rid of, but at least I'm on the road to doing so. But I'm standing there, and I'm not even joking. I was in the mirror, in the bathroom, in the mirror. I'm looking, I've got my hands on the counter, staring at myself, going, why do you do the stupid things you do to yourself? Why is it so hard to just treat yourself the way you treat people around
Everybody
you?
else, yeah.
You treat people so well. Do it to you. What is the problem?
Yeah.
And I couldn't even look at me for a while. I left that room and I came over here and I picked up Sasha.
Hello, Sasha.
Actually, no, Sasha's in there. Sorry, Sonia. Actually, I don't know if this is Sonia.
Don't ever use the wrong name with a woman, Bobby.
For a woman, I never have. For a guitar, for some reason, I don't know.
That's okay. She's beautiful, though. Okay, that's Sonia.
Yeah, that's Sonia.
Okay.
Red Sonia, because I'm that geeky.
Oh yeah. Okay, I got you.
Sasha was named after a roommate who was a stripper because it's if you ever get into guitar, Schecter had their C1 XXX, and all of the inlays on the guitar neck are actually silhouette cutouts of like sexy dancer women.
Okay.
So I named Sasha after her because
a bunch of people Googling that guitar right now, but yeah.
She was a mess. Yeah, go for it. It's a great guitar. I picked up the guitar. I plugged in. I had my Line 6 Helix. I plugged it into the power cab. Nobody was home. I cranked that sucker and immediately said, that's too much. Turned it down. God, I'm getting old. And I just started laying out riffs and I just started playing. And I'm sitting there and I am in tears because of, I don't know. It's all welling up and it's all coming out together and I can't make sense of it because I can't separate it all. I can't parse it and I can't put it into little boxes and, it's just all like right there. And it's all saying you just need to fucking like you,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I started writing. I started singing with the guitar. And I again came into this room. I put the guitar track down, and then I built everything else around it. And that song, when you say dirty, that's where it comes from. That comes from all that grit and grime that just sits right here.
Yep. No, and that was because I'd already heard the 4 or whatever, the 3 before it. And, wow. And then that was the song where I really started to go, okay, this guy's fucking legit. And not that you weren't on the other ones, don't get me wrong, but like, I've heard people sing blues. And there's a movie that I absolutely love, which almost no one has seen, called Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
Oh my God.
You know it? Okay.
Oh, hey, have you heard the news? Dewey Cox died.
So for those who don't know it, because again, apparently Bobby and I are time sharing a brain, but like it's hilarious. And if you're a music fan, it's great because it basically it's the story of this guy, and it's a ludicrous plot, and I'm not going to ruin it for you, but he's a little kid, he has a tragic thing happen, they make it the funniest fucking thing ever, and he basically becomes a rock star, but he goes from like his like pre-Elvis kind of thing to like, his, Johnny Cash and then his Beatles. And it kind of goes through all these musical eras, and it's hilarious. I mean, it's absolutely hilarious. But there's a thing where, he's probably like 6, 7 years old, and this thing has just happened. And he goes and he picks up a guitar, and he's with these 2 like grizzled old blues guys. And, and he starts like, he's like, what are the blues? And they're like, oh, when you live through something hard in your life or whatever. And like, it's like this little, country bumpkin white kid, whatever, 8 years old. And they're like, how is he going to sing the blues?
I've done a bad thing. Cut my brother in half.
And I've heard, my long-winded point, I've heard blues from people who have no business singing or writing the blues. We've all heard that, or like, you go to any, you've done open mic nights, so not all the food is cooked the same, and you'll hear somebody get up on stage, like some sorority sister or whatever, like, oh, been so hard, and I'm like, oh no, I'm sorry. The fact that your Uggs got stained does not qualify you to sing the blues. Sit down, you know what I mean? But you know that feeling, right? And so when you started playing, and I'm like, okay, this is not that. This is not that at all. And that song lives rent free in my head at least a couple times a week. Again, as I said, it'll be like Anita Baker. I'm walking around the house, I'm doing something, or I'm driving, and it's like, just so hard to love you. And I'm like, oh my God, and I have to put it on. So like, that's what I mean. I cannot pick a favorite, but that one just popped right out at me. Okay. Then you take us into this little pill, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that one also got me in my feels. I have watched so many people go through the med circus and whatever, and I've never heard anybody write about it like that. So tell everybody about that one, because anybody who's ever taken medication for anything, thought about taking medication for anything, resisted taking medication for anything, you're gonna have something to relate to in this song, because oof.
Yeah, so I hate pills. I've never been a drug person. I mean, a couple of times, smoked a little pot here and there, whatever. Hate pills. I don't like the feeling of not being completely me, or not being in complete control of my faculties, which when I actually turned around and took a look at it, without them, I really wasn't. I really wasn't, because, that crisis wouldn't have happened if I had been in control of my faculties. I allowed everything to spin up and get out of control. That wasn't, anything external. That was me.
And just to be clear, everybody who's watching, anybody taking pills, taking anything for your mental health, if it is working for you,
yes,
we are 100% here for it. So no judgment, no, go take a walk and get some fresh air. Fuck you, but so yeah, we're not saying anything like that, but okay.
Right.
So coming from that standpoint then.
So I found, the therapist that I could talk to, and I love this guy. He's fantastic. And we were talking about what could work with me, what could, kind of help things along. And I told him how I felt about the whole pill thing. And he says, well, we're always just going to try to start small. We're not going to like force anything, and we're not going to like throw you on massive doses of stuff that's going to, leave you drooling and that sort of thing.
Right.
And I told him my biggest worry is that if I start taking something, I'm not going to be me anymore.
Yeah.
But then we started working together, and I got, my first doses and realized what it was doing. So we went up a little bit further, added something for, other things. And I realized I'm not me. I'm able to do what I was trying to do when all those feelings were welling up,
right,
with the guitar. I'm able to better parse things out, and I'm able to better look at things before I go into the jackrabbit on its back, kicking and screaming of, oh my God, panic, this is horrible, Yeah. And it's working, but I still had that thing in the back of my mind, like, is this going to make me different?
Especially as an artist and a writer and a musician.
Just where I was going.
Sorry, go ahead then.
No, it's beautiful. I'm glad you said it, because I don't want to lose what I've got, because, I know a lot of people who could just sit down and just write songs, and, they'll do like, hey, I did a song a week thing. I'm like, oh, that's
I hate you so
can't
much.
do that.
Fuck you and your 1 week of stuff. Fuck you. I hate you.
I bet you it's going to be shit. And I listen to it. I'm like, oh God, I love this, you asshole. Oh man. But I mean, I want to hold on to that, because like music has been the only constant for me in my life that has been able to get me through things. But now this is helping me even with that. I'm able to not stress out when I get an idea and I've got it in my mind and I want to put it down and I don't have the moment to put it down. I know I'm going to lose it. I'm not going to freak. because I would get so mad.
Yeah.
I would get so mad. But it's gotten me to this point where I am far better able to just take life as it comes,
Yeah.
which is what I was trying to do, which is what I was really good at pretending to do
Oh, yes.
for a lot of years.
Oh, yeah. And it just destroys you because it's not real.
That mask gets heavy and eventually your face is going to drop.
Yeah.
And my face dropped. And now I'm lifting it all back up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm getting to a point where I can feel good about me. You know, it's still taking work. I can't lie about it. It's still taking quite a lot of work, but I can do it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm also able to, you know, when these things go crazy, I don't take it out. I let it out. You know,
I love that.
so it's cool because a lot of times I take it out on me. I take it out on me because I refuse to take it out on someone else.
Right.
But sometimes it still happens, you know.
Right.
But now I'm in a point where like I don't have that. I don't have that now. I still kind of point the finger at me every once in a while, but I'm like, no, chill. It's all right.
No, and that's so important because it's, you know, that refrain, you know, and I'm going to take a pill and I'm going to be just like you, you know, and there's so many layers to that. You know, it could be because I want to be just like you. I don't want to have all this static in my brain all the time. It could be, I don't want to be just like you. I want to be just like me. You know, am I going to turn into something other, something else? And I remember having very similar discussions with my therapist years and years and years ago, you know, and he said something to me that helped so much. He said, you know, if you have, you know, anxiety or depression or trauma or anything like that, it's like you are walking around your life with this very, very, very heavy coat on. And, you know, this isn't about changing you. It's about taking that coat off so that you can walk around without carrying that weight. And for some reason, you know, I've heard things like that, but I was like, okay, you know, okay. And you know, it's so important to acknowledge because I think a lot of people who, you know, have anything that they might be suggested to take meds for have that thought of like, yeah, but I don't want it to gork me out like what you said, where I'm like, you know, just like sitting there catatonic, drooling, whatever. But then when they're way over medicating people or whatever, which definitely happens, but you also don't want to, because your pain now at this point, your trauma, everything is being sublimated into your music, but in a way that's not hurting you actively anymore. And that's the sweet spot, right? You don't want to lose all of that. You just don't want it. You want it to be something that's in the past that you're processing now, not something that's actively hurting you as it is. And I think that's to have a song like that somebody can go, wow, okay, you know, I just had this conversation with my therapist and I have this exact idea about what like nobody else is putting that out there. I mean, I haven't heard it, you know, and it's so important. Like all of the nuances of the discussion on mental health that you have in your music, they're so important because it's not just, hey, you know, live to fight another day. And like, great, absolutely, we need those songs. But, you know, we need, like when I was talking to Aubrey from the Wormwood Project, the idea of like, you know, writing about stuff that's so dark, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're still in that place, but you know, but you do have to process it, you know, and the idea of kind of like starting to write about the upswing a little bit, that can be really helpful to people in some moments, but not the people who aren't there yet, you know. So you capture all the different landmarks of dealing with mental health and battling mental health in your music. And I mean, and it's breaking my heart that we're not even going to get to like 30 of the songs that I would ordinarily be talking about, because we could, this would be like a 15-hour interview, which would only be, I think, about 15 minutes longer than the longest one before that. But, you know, it's this album, you know, and we talked about the check-in already, which, you know, rounds the thing out, the EP, but like, I mean, and then, you know, you can go, guys, if you just want something lighter and fun, whatever, you know, he's got those covers, you know, that Rebel Yell, that is some sexy shit right there. The vocals are, they're so good. Like, you're all bassy, and I love that. You know, and then the Careless Whisper, you know, and it's cool because you kept the iconic bits. You kept that
Yeah.
almost Spanish kind of guitar at the beginning. You kept that very light acoustic feel. But then it gets that song. You rock that one out, and it's like that, at the bridge when you have all those hits and those stops and whatever. And it's like you took the song and you just went, and like it is itself, but it sort of showed me like that's a completely another way that he could have gone with that. And I would have loved it just as much, and then of course. Okay, go ahead.
No, I got to say about that, the way that song came out, I did that one here, and the drums on that are actually my friend Jason, who was in my band, my former band, Clusterfunk. That's the way we performed that song with those hits in there like that.
Great.
And it's funny, when we were sitting there, I'm like, I want to cover this song, and we're coming up with this part, and I'm like, oh my God, are you in my brain? That's what I wanted. It's like he was in my brain.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to do. Oh my God.
Oh no, it's so, guys, really, like it's if you don't know the song, if you're an embryo or whatever, and you weren't around and you hadn't heard it or whatever, you'll enjoy it. But if you know it, because now what I really think you need to do though, Bobby, is a shot for shot remake of that video, because you have to have the thing where you go, I haven't seen that video in probably 30 years or whatever, but I remember that little hand motion or whatever.
Yeah.
But it hits all those notes. And then you take on one of my, it's not going out on a limb to say it, but favorite musicians ever. As popular as he was, I still think severely underrated, especially as a guitarist, but you do Purple Rain by Prince. Now that you're not fucking around with that song. That is not low-hanging fruit to do that. And I mean, your covers are also some of the longest songs that you put out, 6, 7, 7.5 minutes. And none of it is unnecessary. But like those three, I imagine, just huge favorites of yours. Is that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Those are songs that meant a lot to me growing up, because there was just this emotional content that kind of connected with something with me. Yeah. Especially Purple Rain. I mean, people would get me to do that song. Like I do like solo acoustic stuff, and they're like, dude, do Purple Rain, do Purple Rain. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do Purple Rain. And I'm sitting there and I'm doing Purple Rain, and I'll get to the part where like the falsetto parts come in, and I'll hear somebody from the back of the room going, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes.
Because you have to do it. You have to do it. You can't get away without doing it. Because I've heard covers of it and people will just go, ooh, and I'm like, damn it, you're an octave low. And I was like, is he going to do it? Because I wanted to hear that sound come out of that body. And ladies and gentlemen, and everybody, people of the unit, he did it. He did, and you really did it too. You even did a little couple runs there at the end of it. You were not just squeaking that noise out. By the way, I want to just put it on record that when I did that falsetto, that was my joke version. That is not actually what I sound like. No, is that? But no, it's I. And when you do it, does the house come down when you play that out live, or when you did? Was where people just like, oh, he did it. He did the falls.
There's like two different reactions I get with that song.
Okay.
Like if I'm doing it in a music venue, like everybody goes nuts.
Yeah.
And there's some people who will try to sing along, and they're like, they'll do the first one and then they won't do it anymore.
It's like a wounded seal or something, or a dolphin. Yeah, it's not. Nobody. Sit down, Brenda. Nobody wants to hear you.
But if I do it in a restaurant, like if restaurants, they'll have like solo acoustic musicians come along. You know how you'll have people chattering and talking and dishes clanking and all that stuff, and you got to tune that out and keep going.
Yeah, it's hard.
But I'll get partway through the song and things will get a little bit quiet, but there's still a little chatter and a little talking. But I'll get to that part, silence.
Okay.
No dishes, no people, nothing, just complete silence.
You just picture busboys like with the tray, like watching you for that part. That's very gratifying, right? Because kids, everybody who has played out has been in that position where you're competing with 15 TVs behind you playing all kinds of sport ball games, or that just people are talking and they're whatever. If you can get everybody quiet and paying attention, you're doing something right. So that's got to feel good.
That felt great. In fact, one time that happened, and as soon as the song was over, like a cup fell off a tray and like shattered. the end of this song.
Oh my gosh, that's so cinematic, and then like all of a sudden all the noise just comes back up and it sounds like a movie, like everybody paused.
The silence will go right into like this huge, like, whoa, yeah, applause thing. And I'm like, oh, okay. I kind of forgot you guys were here. Sorry. Because I'll just play.
Yeah, you're in
for
it.
me.
You're in it. Well, and I think especially restaurant gigs, you have to be willing to do that because so many times it's like people don't even seem to realize you're there, or they think you're like the jukebox or whatever. But I just want to hit a couple of your other songs before we wrap up because, and again, it is breaking my heart that I can't go through literally all of them. But I mean, No Good News, great song. I get kind of like almost a Nutshell vibe from that one in a weird way, Alice in Chains, and I've said it before a bunch of times. It's my favorite Alice in Chains song ever. But like, the lyrics on that they're intense. That is not an easy song to listen to, and it's so. Unfortunately, when you wrote it, it was apropos. It's still apropos, and I think unfortunately it's going to continue to be apropos. But this idea of just all of these horrible things and that, you are bombarded all the time. We all are with the fact that there really doesn't seem to be any good news about anything ever, and it's one of the many, 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 many things that I love about you and your music is that you are saying something with all of it. Like there is, you don't have a single throwaway in 30 something songs that I listen to from you. There's not a song where I feel like even that one song, that's a bop, it's up tempo, it's lighthearted, it's upbeat, whatever. It's still so nostalgic that you're like, and so, but I mean, you tackle some heavy shit in these songs, and I again here for it. But like, love that one, love No Good News, love Come Morning. That is so beautiful. Where did that one come from?
I had a ridiculous crush on a friend of mine.
Okay.
Like, just horrible crush. And it was, for a good long time, it was unrequited. And mostly because I wasn't going to say anything. She was in a relationship. I will never be that guy to mess things up. But the relationship ended. And of course, she came to the person that she felt comfortable with to talk about all the things. And I had to put up some boundaries and say, look, I'm having a hard time with this right now, and I'm going to tell you why.
Wow, okay.
And it became kind of a moment of, I never knew that she wished that I had said something beforehand.
Ah, okay.
And she never knew that I was sitting there feeling that. And I'm like, well, look, let's just live in the moment. Whatever happens, we're just going to stay friends. Yeah. So if morning takes us and we're not happy with what happened before, that I'm not going to be that asshole.
Yeah.
And that happened years and years ago. Yeah. And we're still.
Aw, yay.
So,
happy. No, yeah. I think I've been on both sides of that dynamic. And so I know that feeling where it's just like, and it's just, the song is just so beautiful. Like, it's just so beautiful. And I love that you let it be so pretty. And it's just such a breath, that song, the whole thing. And I mean, and again, guys, these are all singles, right? So, I mean, you can listen to them really in any order, any order that you want. Can You Feel This? Another one. That one.
Yeah.
That's another one that got me. And I will tell you, I put a post up on Facebook. It's this morning, but now it will be, some time ago, with a picture of my arm.
Oh God, yes.
Lying in my bed, I put a picture of my arm with goosebumps on it, and that is my arm. And it was that was the song I was listening to.
Wow, that one.
Yes, because the choir came in, and I was just like, oh, it's like, it's just so. So tell me a little bit about that one, because that one knocked me back on my feet and you got the bumps.
Yeah, that one came from me realizing that I can't continue to not put out a political opinion. At the time we were hoping that, I was kind of hoping that maybe Bernie would take the office. Would have been nice. I kind of wish that he and Elizabeth Warren could have gotten over their issues, because either way, whoever was on top, that could have worked.
Okay.
But hey, who knows? It could have been great. It could have been not. But we had the huge fires in the Amazon. We had all these issues with chemical plants that a lot of that was being kept quiet over here. But had all this horrible stuff that was just coming out, and just so sick of hearing about it, so sick of seeing it. And I'm like, change has got to come. Things have got to be better. Sam Cooke said, change is going to come. When? Please, come on. I know, because
that song was more than a minute ago. So yeah, yeah.
So I put that feeling out there. It's just like, we need change. We can't keep this going. Climate change is a thing. Haven't you noticed? I mean,
well, and I think that the reason that choir moment specifically got me, because you do use choir, gospel serotonin too. You use it to great effect. But it was that when you want something so much, and whatever version of things, in the world people are seeing and how they feel about it, everyone's had that feeling about something of we cannot continue to do this the way that we're doing it, whatever it is, whatever your alignment is, and that feeling of, first of all, hearing somebody else say it, where it's just and then that choir embodied so much in that moment of hope, but also fear, and also frustration, and also release, and it just, something about the way, and I want to make sure before we wrap up that we talk about the fact that you are also mixing and mastering all of your own stuff, and it's so good. But something about the way that you produced that choir in particular, it just got me. And because I've said it before, I'm like, oh my God, so many times I listen to Bobby and I get goosebumps. I say that to Greg all the time. And he's like, yeah, I know, of course. And I was like, but people need to see a really they're really there. That's whatever. But I mean, and again, that happens to me with you a lot. And the last one I want to kind of highlight that before we talk about the mixing and mastering a little bit is Phoenix. That's another one that got massive goosebumps from me. And I just, I love, again, that's a Seal song for me. It's got all that dreamy, ethereal kind of stuff, but the bridge and those harmonies, and it's just, the bridge is so big in that song. And you don't always do that. You'll have sometimes quieter moments or more spiritual, instrumental, you'll do a solo, whatever. But the line that got me, and you use it a couple of times, is you have nothing left to fear from me in paradise. Talk to me about that, because I feel like I might know what that song is exactly about, but I don't think I do. I feel like that's...
Yeah, that one... had a girlfriend who... She was very new to relationships.
Okay.
And so I kind of had a little bit more experience, but I didn't want to be like, hey, I'm experienced. I'm not that dude. So, I kind of backed things off a lot, because I wanted to make sure that she was comfortable and understanding that I wasn't going to be like the guy she sees on TV,
Yeah.
And, we had a lot of great conversations. We talked, at one point she said, sometimes it's scary to be with me because I am this huge guy. And she is 5'1", barely 100-pound, 100-pound girl. And she's like, it just feels a little scary sometimes.
Okay.
But then I look at your face and it's fine and I get it. And then she went in for heart surgery and didn't come out.
Oh, Bobby.
And that moment, I wrote that.
Okay. Oh my God. Dude, you really, not the moment to use the word dude, but it's just like my friend, my sweetheart, my Bobby. I mean, you've been through so much though. And again, I'm sure this is fractional relative to the stuff that you could be talking about, but like, it is, and in a way, it does remind me a little bit of the Wormwood Project and Ghosts. This idea that you're memorializing these people and these feelings and these relationships and these situations and these songs, and that's another one where it got me in a way that, with the instrumentation and the lyricism and the vocals being as spectacular as they are, it still moved me past that, where I couldn't understand why, and that's what I was feeling in there. Ooh, okay, kind of wish I had picked a different song.
No. I like every song I write is from something I've lived.
Yeah.
Every song, even that one song, is like, my love of certain songs I'll just play over and over and over again. Everything I write is from what I've lived.
And I that is something that you didn't even need to tell me, because it's like, literally, that's what I mean about authenticity. Like, you have the musical skill, the gift that you do. And I mean, guys, like, Bobby's doing everything on these songs, which you should also be mindful of. He's playing the guitar, he's, singing along, he's, doing, I'm assuming all the drums, except for the ones that your friends have played. You're not playing the drums, are you? Because I'll cry. Are you literally playing drums? Because I know you play some keys.
Yeah, I play keys. There's a few songs where, like, I've borrowed a set of V drums and plugged them in, so I'll play the drums, and then I'll quantize everything, because I'm not a really great drummer, but then I'll mess it up a little bit more so it doesn't sound like it's quantized. Yeah,
the human element, we like that. Dude, you got to leave some talent for other people. It's not entirely fair. You can't just be good at everything. Great. And are you playing? Shut the fuck up. Are you playing? Just don't even start with me. I will fight you. I will come at you like a spider monkey. And I'll lose, I know, but I will climb up there and I will get you. But I mean, are you playing the horns too on the things that you have horns on? Because now I know you have this band background. Tell me, please, those are samples, please.
Most of it is samples. I do have a trumpet in there that I will, like, I'll do like an undertone of the trumpet with it.
Okay.
So that it sounds more realistic, but the major part is, those are samples.
Thank you, God, because really, seriously, like, but then again, I want to just briefly at least touch on the botchery, okay? Because you have a project, you are mixing and mastering for people, and I keep seeing, and I love that you're being generous of spirit, but I also want to make sure that you're earning what you deserve. Well, you're not going to be able to earn what you deserve. That would be way too much money. But I want you to at least earn something. But you mix and you master, and you're really fucking good at it. So talk to me a little bit about that, because that's assuming that's something else you just taught yourself how to do, since you've never taken a lesson in anything else, and you're apparently just insanely good at it. So is that the same kind of thing, or?
Well, yeah, most of it I did. Yeah, most of it I taught myself, and then I found this, another online community through YouTube, actually, called Produce Like a Pro.
Okay.
So it's run by a guy named Warren Heward, and Warren Heward is an amazing guy, amazing teacher. He makes you feel like he's not teaching you. He's just like kind of showing you some stuff.
Gotcha.
And you could just pick it up, and you can. It's really good. And they have like a Produce Like a Pro Academy where you can go in and join it. I joined it for a lifetime, where I learned quite a bit about mixing, and I utilize a lot of that to make things a little bit better. Just recently, I started going to online, of course, school called mastering.com, where Warren is a part of that, but it was started by a bunch of guys who, like, they teach everything backwards because it's the best way to learn it.
Okay.
And so I'm picking up advanced mastering, which is why I put that post out there where I said, look, I have some slots available right now. So if you need something, mixed or mastered, give it to me. I'll mix and master it. If you like it, take it. if you want to do some more, I mean, like, especially for the people in our community,
And I
I'm
do
not
have
gonna
a project that I am coming to you with. We just have to be done with it. But
cool.
yes, absolutely. I know I
Yeah.
keep saying that, and you're probably like, yeah, whatever. But like, I really do
No, it's
mean it.
cool. No,
Yeah.
I
So
understand. Trust me. But yeah, like, if you come from the band together community, let me know. Even if you have a hard time paying for anything, I don't care. I
guys,
just
don't
want
take
y'all to sound
advantage of him, though,
amazing.
please. I will be so mad at you. Okay,
I
so
want
mad
y'all
at
to
you.
put your best out there.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Well, and
and
it's
I can
crucial
do it.
because there are so many, and I've said this before, there are so many songs that go out that because the mixing and the mastering is not exactly where it needs to be, the songs they're not done justice, and people
Mm.
don't realize how important mixing and mastering actually
Oh
is
yeah.
until you
Oh yeah.
hear either a really bad job or a really good job. And I
Right.
remember when I talked to Sepsis, and William was saying that, they when they actually like sent it out and got back the first, professional mix of one of their songs, he's like, that's the first time I ever heard the song. Like, that's what, okay, it sounded like a
Yes.
completely different thing. So
Yeah.
I mean, so it, just to spell it out, okay, it's the Bauchery, Bauchery. Okay, you
Right.
can get that, from Bobby's social media. It's all there. But you really, it is professional level, your music, the mixing, and like, it really is. If you had told me you'd done all that in the studio, I would have 100% believed you and paid bajillions of dollars for it, whatever. But like, that's what he's offering people.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's Bobby Kane, is there anything you cannot do?
I cannot tell you because I don't know yet.
Oh my
I
God, that answers it. So that is it. Now, great. That's gonna fuck with me when I'm trying to sleep, because I'm like, did he answer it or not? Because he can't tell me if there isn't anything he can't do, which technically means he can't tell me, which is what. Thanks for the
I'm
brain
just a
worm. I
little bit
appreciate it.
evil. Just a little evil.
Damn it, you and you shit goblin. But okay, all right. So you got the
God,
shit
I love
goblin. You did.
you.
You got it. You got it.
I
All
love
right,
you.
I'm
I can't
gonna.
help.
I'm thinking of Inigo Montoya here. I'm like,
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
let me sum up
Yes.
here. Greg and me too. That's like Princess Bride all the way.
Yeah.
Team Princess Bride.
But I
Okay,
got to somebody
so
hump and take a little less than half an hour. Okay, never mind. Go. I'm sorry.
half an hour. You got to do the half an hour. But I mean, it. So this absolute tree trunk of a man was, New York, just right there. We all know some of the best things ever come out of New York. And immediately thrown into music, has lived 40 lifetimes. We didn't even
Jeez.
get to the motorcycle accident. We didn't even get to all the stuff that you've been like, we didn't even, and you know what? It's okay, because I have the feeling at some point you'll be back, but like, and has taken mental health and grabbed it and looked at it and is sharing the progress and the struggle and all of it with everybody in this music that, guys, is just glorious. And I'm not overselling it. I'm really not. And Bobby, I think one of my favorite moments with the Band Together community actually happened just this morning, because I put out that Goosebump post, and you of course demurred. I'm not that good. You fucking are. Thank you, whatever. And I believe it was Magnus Scoria who wrote back and said, no, it was Agbat, actually. It was Agbat. Who said, listen, no, bro, seriously, like, we're not even in the same genre, but I got to give credit where it's due. And first of all, to get something like that from Agbat, tremendous band right there. Like, that's praise from Caesar. But I think you need to internalize that even people who don't necessarily usually listen to the kind of music that you make love the music that you make. Okay. And there's a reason for that. So, I mean it, guys. Like, you got to listen to this stuff, Bobby. And I giggled and I screenshotted it for you, and then I forgot to send it to you because brain. But a couple days ago, you were at 69, which I thought was spectacular. 69 listeners, like monthly listeners on Spotify, which, while I appreciate the number, is way too low. Okay. So we got to fix that. So I want everybody to go like, subscribe, follow, all the things. Okay. But you cannot get away from me before I put you in my seat. So as you know, we like to end every episode with a little segment that we call in the Vox seat.
All right.
You know what's coming. You know what's coming, Bobby. You know.
What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
After European.
Yes,
Yeah,
I love you.
We totally have to hang out. But I mean, so let's start with this. I don't know how you're going to do it,
Okay.
but let's start with the first one.
Okay.
If you have to describe your music in 5 words or less, what do you say?
I have absolutely no idea. No,
That's 5, ladies and gentlemen. Technically, he's done. All right, give it a go because I think you can. I think you can do anything.
Honestly, my music was written for me, by me, but I want to share it, so it's definitely cathartic.
Okay.
You know, it is relatable.
Yes.
Because I know everybody has feelings, whether it's the same feelings or not. Something's going to touch on something somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking psychotic because it just jumps from genre to genre to genre. I don't like being pigeonholed, I guess. So
I know that psychotic is the word we need to use for that, but all right, I will allow it if you want. I would have said versatile or genre promiscuous, but okay, fine, psychotic. We can do that.
I love genre promiscuous. That works for me.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, euphonophrenic, but then I have to start pulling out the dictionary for some folks.
Okay, so we'll do a slash on that. Okay, we'll do genre promiscuous / euphonophrenic.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Sexy.
I like.
I'm giving him a 6th word I'm using. No, go ahead. What's your 4th? Go ahead. Tell me.
Well, wait. I got to do this right. There's this young lady who thinks my music is sexy. So.
Okay, Barry White. Go on.
Yeah, I mean. I don't know. Did I use available?
No, you didn't. You said relatable, but not available.
Right.
But they are two different things.
They are two different things. So because I've pushed myself to get over the fear of like 30 plus years of musicianship and finally putting it out there, yeah, definitely available.
Okay.
And I guess I'm always looking to better myself. Looking to better myself. So
yeah, what's a word for that?
I guess for me, educational, because through listeners, I've learned just as much about myself as what I've written down and sung. So it makes me happy.
That. Okay, and I agree with all of that.
Yeah,
and I'm going to add sexy, but okay, all right, that's fine. And, so now, your favorite thing about being a musician?
The fact that I can actually utilize my emotion in a positive way, that is my favorite thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, but the flip side, your least favorite thing, I think I might know what it was, but your least favorite thing about being a musician.
I'm broke. No. Have
you seen that meme of that little boy who's reading the word problem and he's like, Jaden has 5 pennies and 2 nickels. How much does Jaden have? And he's like, Jaden broke. So that's there. Okay. Are you sticking with that? Or
I don't know. I guess. I think I'm gonna stick with that. I really want to know where you were, the avenue you were going.
I thought you were gonna go down the own worst enemy thing of just like how much you get in your own head about things. But the broke is right up there. So yeah,
it is very true.
When you really want to do this, you end up spending way more than you end up making from it, and that's necessary but not thrilling. So I fully feel you, and I actually don't think anyone's actually come out and said that before, but I know everybody in the chat is like, oh yes. Hell yes. So all right, being broke, okay, I don't like it, but I agree with it. So this I gotta know, because I don't know what the fuck you're gonna say. If you had to choose just one album for the rest of your life to listen to, what album would you pick and why?
You are so going to laugh at me.
Okay.
Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Okay. No, you know what? I'm not going to laugh at you at all. Like, I could think of 5 reasons right off the top of my head, based on the conversation that we've just had, where that song, that album completely makes sense to me. But tell me why you picked that one.
I love every bit of the album, every bit of it, and I can understand the journey. In every sense, it is also documenting a mental health struggle.
Yes.
100%. But when you get to the trial, every character touches on every part of my brain that has given me problems, and that little bit that just wants to live in peace and spread love and not be bothered by all the rest of them. And that's another one of those things that I have played over and over again. And I have spoken every part right along with it and used it to get all of that crap out of my system.
I'm not laughing.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing. No. I think that there are a lot of people who could pick that album for those same reasons. That there's so much to that album, and you can listen to it in a surface way, and you can just enjoy it for what it is. But if you resonate with any of what's going on in there, in the darkness in that album.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm not laughing at you for that one. Okay, Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby, my love, this is it.
Oh, yes.
This is it. This is the last question. Let me calm Freaky down. Okay. Because Freaky now, especially, he already loved you, but after this, couple hours has gone by, he really loves you. And so he is telling you right now, don't blow this because he loves you and he don't blow this. Okay. Yeah. And Dom, who may or may not be cooking and able to answer or not, Dom is steadfast in his hope that you will join him in his quest. And then, of course, we have all the other people. So I have to ask you. All right. And I think based on some things that you've said, I may know where you're going with this, but I am going to ask it now. Are you prepared? Loins girded? Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Bobby Kane. Baby Kane, your toilet paper. When you put it on the roll, is the toilet paper coming from over the top? You pulling it out from under the bottom? And why?
Nah, just get a bidet. Just be done with it. No, I'm kidding. I am so kidding.
Liar. You are not a bidet guy. You'd have to fucking go to Old Faithful or whatever. 700 feet tall. You're no bidet. No. You put your bidet away. Come on, bring it. Say it.
When I was in Paris, not the last time, but the time before that, it actually worked out really nice. Okay. But so just to let you know, when you're in the bathroom, usually the walls are tiled. Sometimes they have wainscoting. These things collect particulate matter. And with the stuff that you're doing in there, you have some poo particles, or like I call them pooticles, that float through the air and get stuck on this other particulate matter, which gets stuck in the grout, on the wall, on the wainscoting.
When you flush, it helps a lot. But okay, yes, okay, go ahead. Your pooticles, go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, you fart, it floats through the air. And anyway, so I don't want wall crud in my balloon knot. It's got to go over. Okay. It's got to go over, because even if you're not touching it, when you open the door, there's an air current that could push that tissue up against the wall and collect that particulate matter. Over.
Wow. We've got a physics-based argument here. I love it. We've got air currents and particulate matter.
Yes.
And so there you go. Bobby Kane, all of him, joins the ranks of the Over Army. Freaky is very happy right now because he was also going to have to try and climb up there spider monkey style and get you if you had the full wrong answer. Dom, I think at this point, has just given in.
I'm sorry, Dom. I still love you, brother.
Powerful under army, and he's good with it. But Bobby Kane is in the Over Army. There you go. There you go. Now you've come out on this issue now, Bobby. You didn't want to get political, but you had to. And there it is.
I've come out of the TP closet.
That more even than I'm tired, maybe your most political statement yet. It's just, I think that's it. Now we got another, you and Drew from Drunk and Lonely got to, team up on another TP related song, I think.
That would be cool.
Bobby, I don't know if I've managed to get it across. If anybody's managed to figure it out, because I feel like I've held it very close to the vest here, but you are spectacular and singular, and you are insanely talented and you are so blessed with what you can convey in your music, in your lyrics, in your voice, and the fact that you are using everything that you have survived and are surviving and have learned and are learning and have taken on and are taking on, and you have used all of that and made this music for us with it, and been so open and honest and genuine and vulnerable and generous with your trauma and your brain chemistry and everything that you are, and that you do it in a way that makes my life richer just for listening to you. I'm grateful to you that you exist, that you are still here, and that you are making the music that you make, because I believe in you so much, and I want as many people to hear you, not only the music that you make, but the message that you're sharing and the humanity that you are putting out into the world as possible, because you are a light in this world, and your music is a light in this world, and you affect me in a way that most people don't. And I feel like I know you, and I love you, and I get you, and I feel understood when I listen to you. And that is a gift in itself. So I want desperately for you to hear all of that and take it in, because I mean it with everything that I am, and I don't say things that I don't mean. I can't do it. But I want everyone who's watching, listening, I want you to go and I want you to listen to Bobby's music, and I want you to share it, and I want you to hear it, and I want you to let other people listen to it. And I want you to, if you know anybody who has any connections, if you, whatever, I want you to send them this guy's way, because we need him. He's like our Batman in this community, in the mental health community, right? And it's not that I don't love everybody, and it's not that I don't want things like that for everybody. I do. That's why I do what I do all day, every day. But you are so special, Bobby Kane, and you are you I want you to get even a little bit of what you deserve, because it's everything. And I love you to pieces, and I'm so glad that you overcame your trepidation and your reservations, because I had to talk him into this, guys. This was not a sign me up moment here. This was basically, I crawled up Bobby's ass and just, festered there until he agreed to come on the show. He was not in the business of self promotion and whatever. So I'm so glad that you came here, because it's an honor for me to talk to you and share your music with other people. It just absolutely is.
I can't tell you how much you mean to me, and just how much you've done for me, and how much I love you, because
oh, I didn't mean to upset you.
I did. No, it's okay. It's just something I'm not used to,
I know, baby. I know.
But I'm so grateful. I'm just so completely grateful for you and this whole community. I mean, just so many amazing people, so many talented, wonderful people.
Yeah.
And they're doing the thing that I kept trying to tell people around me could be possible, and I could never see it. And there it is. It is beautiful.
Exactly. Yep. It is. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And it really, I live in this world as much as I can, because I want that to be what the world looks like as much as you do. So I know exactly what you feel about it. I really do. This community is, it restores my faith in humanity, which had been lost a while ago. So I get you 100%. And I haven't done anything for you, Bobby. I wish I could do more, but I really just, I want you to sit in this uncomfortable place of
Yeah.
being appreciated and acknowledged and valued, and to take one of your own titles and throw it back at you. You are eminently worthy.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. I love you to pieces. Guys, I mean it. Go, like, how can you not love this guy? Seriously. And if you haven't heard the music yet, you are in for such a treat. So before I make Bobby leak any more from any opening, which I don't even want to know if there, I had to save you at the end there, Bobby. I had to, but I mean, really, I'm gonna let you out of my clutches. I feel like I could talk to you for days and days, and we're gonna have to hang out somehow virtually, you and I. But
Yeah,
and
we'll
Greg
make it
too,
happen.
because Greg never gets to hang. But no, but listen, thank you again for being willing to do this with me today, and for your time, and for your music, and just for you. I love you.
I love you.
All right, guys, that's it. That's another Vox and Guest in the books. We will see you next time. Bye.